Mate, thanks so much for coming down today, Lou. Really, really appreciate it. Mate, want to jump on straight away the airport situation.
Oh, yeah.
Talk to us about it.
That was the last time I travelled anywhere. Right, so how do I start this story? Right, okay, so I was working and I went to Thailand. That in itself is a funny story. I got asked to do a male pageant in Thailand.
A what?
Well, that's a bit of a random one.
They wanted me to represent the UK, and I had tits at the time.
When you say you had tits, what do you mean?
No, like I had man boobs, like proper, and I've not been going to gym, and I've been letting myself go, and I was just like, I have this rule where someone asks me to do something, I say yes, and then figure it out. The problem is you can't lose weight in that short space of time. So it was me and these guys that were jacked, like from all around the world, 36 countries, ripped, abs of steel, and this guy looked like a bag of sausages. and I don't know if you know anything about Thailand. The sizes in Thailand are very different as well. So we all had these swimwear they provided for us. And obviously I went large. Large is like a G-string for me. Man. And I just look disgraceful.
Mate, why did you even get asked to go there?
So again, it goes back to saying yes over and over again. And someone asked me to do this thing in Manchester, be a Mr. Manchester, represent the youth. And I was like, yeah, it sounds good, support young people and whatever. And I was like, I'll get involved. And then that led to Mr. England, where I met a guy called Liam who lives down here. So he's Bournemouth local, apparently. And I did like a Mr. England thing. And I was like, it's getting a bit silly now. I'm not going to do anything.
Did you win
nice.
Mr. England?
No, I came second. Like, you say you get involved in silly things. It's quite embarrassing, to be fair, doing something like that, because I'm not that guy. So yeah, long story short, that was Manchester. And then that was the end of it, yeah? England, cool. I get a phone call saying, Liam was supposed to go to Thailand to represent England in this thing. And I was like, oh, cool. And he was like, you can't make it. Do you want to do it? I was like, what's the deal? They went, well, we'll pay for you to go to Thailand for 3 weeks and you get to travel around the entire country and do everything, all the activities.
No brainer.
What would you say?
Yes, straight away.
So I was like, yeah, count me in. And then it was only when I got there and I realised it turns out in Thailand, a male pageant is like the World Cup. Like, for all countries, they fly.
You not do any research beforehand?
No, I just turned up.
Just thought, oh, fuck it.
Like, my costume was a suit, yeah? These guys, I don't know if you've seen a pageant. They make costumes. They make them over the course of a year. They get them all flown out there professionally, and they're ginormous with wings and, like, spears.
Oh, it's too much, mate.
And I was in a suit like, I misjudged this one, and I was overweight. And
you not like watch a YouTube video before or anything?
Literally, I just said yeah, put it in my calendar, flying to Thailand. And I was like, yeah, I'm going to Thailand, and I thought it was like a holiday, right? And I thought even if I didn't enjoy it, even if I thought it was cringy or anything like that, didn't matter, because most people would never even get a chance to experience it.
100%,
and it's free, 3 weeks, and we got put on a tour bus. And like when the footballers arrive home after winning the World Cup, it was like that. We went to village, and people would come out in the hundreds and thousands, and there was like cheering us and like getting autographs and taking pictures. Oh, it was so cringe. Anyway, obviously it's an experience that I will never forget, but you would never have had otherwise. You can't pay for it. And then I spent a few weeks traveling Thailand. As I came back, left my AirPods.
Hold on. How'd you get on in the pageant?
Oh no, I can't think I'm like dead last.
Last.
I tell you one thing though. I put it down to when we were doing a practice run. They did like a pretend thing where you all win awards and you have to go through the walk, and it's again you like rehearse it over and over again for days. It's really weird. And on my thing, I did like a bow, but I'd like loosen my pants up. So as I bowed on purpose, my pants fell down. And all the boys behind, like my ass was just in front of them. So they all just felt, you had like 36 boys from all around the world, just like dropped laughing. And they're really serious. Obviously the guys that were organising the show are really angry about this because it's supposed to be dead serious. And all these boys are loving it. And they're like going, UK, like cheering me on. And after that, every time I was involved in it, they would just cheer my name, cheer the country I'm from. So I won them over. And then before I left, there's another thing I didn't get told was, you're supposed to take an international gift, something that represents your country, and you're supposed to give it out. So Mr. Japan brought fans with Japanese writing on them, and Mr. China brought chopsticks and things like that. I didn't get told to do that. So I went down to the local Cohen's chemist, whatever the Thailand equivalent is, and I bought 36 condoms, boxes of condoms, and I just went around going, gift from UK, because it was Durex, isn't it? It was yeah, stay safe, don't let your winky fall off, and I was going around handing them out, and obviously these boys are I would say quite sheltered, and the cultures are all different, but sex is just internationally hilarious apparently, because all these boys were laughing the backsides off, and they thought it was hilarious. So everywhere I went, it was like UK. I had like a banging lads holiday basically.
I
just had to parade around. Yeah. Just had to wear makeup occasionally.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, and they do your makeup. So you go on. It's like being on TV. Well, it is on TV. It's televised over there. And there's like thousands of people that watch it. And the country gets involved. And they shut down roads and do parades and stuff like that. I tell you what did happen though, which is annoying, is it went viral on Facebook. So
mate, that's awful.
The costumes went viral.
Oh.
So someone in America went through the pageant photos and had all the boys wearing all the costumes, like Mr. US. He was like a falcon wearing a thong, and he was like jacked. I was in a room with him, by the way, and he came out of the room and he was like, Lewis, hold my feathers and like hold my head. And I'm like trying to get him out this door dressed like a huge bird with spears and everything. And you had this guy from like Africa who had like a real lion's head and stuff like that. And you had a
They've
guy.
gone in.
Yeah. And then, so people are going through the photos laughing at everyone's outfits, and then there's just me in a suit.
Mate, I bet you just stood out like a sore
The thing
thumb
is,
out there.
I actually think that's like the best outfit you could have had.
Right.
Do you know what
It's
I
a
mean?
tweed suit, 3-piece, and I was like, it's British. But all I got told was that, do you know what they told me to wear in the UK? So the guys that are in charge of it in England, they said, you should wear an English football kit. Imagine if I'd gone on stage in a football kit, and everyone else has gone through off, trying to play. I just got ripped apart.
Yeah.
So anyway, I got away with the suit. I think it sort of worked, but the people on Facebook weren't as forgiving.
Yeah, I bet.
Yeah.
I bet.
That was getting ripped. That was hilarious. It was hilarious to me as well because I didn't actually care about the competition, so it was quite funny to read people's comments. It was hilarious.
Oh, mate, the comments are harsh sometimes, though.
Anyway, that was a long way of saying, so I was in Thailand.
Yeah.
I told you, no matter what happens in my life, there's always a reason why I was there, and there's a story behind it. But it usually involves me saying yes to something, and then, you just pulled a thread, and the thread pulls and pulls and pulls, and then next thing you know, you're on a tour bus in Thailand with thousands of people cheering your name.
I get what you mean, but just not on that scale. Do you know what I mean? That scale is actually ridiculous.
Do you know why I do this? I do this thing where I try and say yes to most basically away opportunities. When I go, have I got the chance to improve my career or my life? Am I going to meet anyone interesting? If it answers yes to maybe both those questions, it's a damn right yes. If it's half yes, then okay, wait up a little bit more. But I try and say yes. I lead with yes, and then I say no.
What did you think about this podcast before coming on?
Well, who reached out to me? Was it you?
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure I would have said yes straight away.
Yeah, you literally did.
Yeah, I rate it, mate.
Straight away.
Anyway, I'm in Bournemouth, and I was like, sweet, I'll be there.
Yeah, it's decent.
And then I looked how far it was, and I was like, bollocks, I've said yes to it.
No going back, mate.
True. Like next week, I'm doing a talk with like 5 schools across Liverpool, 5,000 students, because someone tagged me in a post on Facebook, some guy from BBC saying we need some business owners to give some advice, kids, help them out. And I went, all right, mate, count me in. I didn't know it was 4 days. I didn't know I'd be away from home all week. And then my client went, I need to go to Rome to do some meetings. And I was like, he's like, would you be interested in coming? Yeah, count me in. I'll fly there on Sunday. So from next week onwards, I'm just away all over the world doing random shit because I say yes to things.
Thing is, I rate it,
Yeah.
and I can see how that actually benefits you, if that makes sense. I can also see how it leads to things. Obviously, you being in Thailand on a catwalk is pretty far fetched.
Oh yeah.
But how does that then pull back to you losing your AirPods?
Oh right, so I was flying back from Thailand. I left him on a plane. True story. So I had him out there, and I'd flown, obviously, gone traveling on my own, following the pageant. I was in like Bangkok and then PP Islands, all that sort of stuff. Typical tourist spots. And then I flew back to Manchester, and on the way back via Qatar is a layover flight, and you carry on to Manchester. Now in this case, the layover flight was the same plane. They were just stopping there, letting people off, and cleaning the plane and carrying on. And I got off the plane. I got a notification saying you left them behind. It happens quite common if you leave them behind. And I couldn't get back on the plane. They wouldn't let me. Turns out, by the way, if anyone ever loses anything on a plane, just tell them it's your wallet, and they allow you to go back on. Because if it's anything that affects your onward travel, you're allowed to go back and get it. Passport, wallet, you're allowed. So just lie. That's what I wish I'd done. I could have saved myself heartache. But it wasn't. It was AirPods, and they said, listen, go and stand at Lost and Found desk. Qatar is quite a very large airport if you've been there, and it's like a good 30-minute walk, and I found it, and I had to wait there, and I had 6 hours layover, and I stood there for 6 hours, and they were going, we'll clean the plane.
What, for your AirPods?
Yeah, I just waited because I couldn't get on the plane anyway. Now,
okay, nice.
And they said, just wait here, and we'll bring them to you. And I waited for 6 hours. Eventually, I sat on the desk for Lost and Found on their chair, and they came around like, you can't sit there. I was like, well, you owe me AirPods, so unless you're not, I was like, I'm not moving until I get them back. It got that petty, and people come up to me and go, excuse me, sir, I've lost my. I'm like, fuck off, deal with it. I lost my things too, and they're like, you look like you weren't there.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I'm sat there waiting, and they never came. But the guy came to me and said, here, look, don't worry, we've rang down over and over again. We can't find them. The guys haven't found them. You're on the same plane in the same seat on the way back to Manchester. They'll still be in the pocket. It's basically why I didn't put them in the pocket in front, and I'd gone to sleep and left them down the front. Right?
Yeah, easy play.
And then I've got off the plane because I knew I was getting back on anyway. And I got back on the plane, and then I lost the Wi-Fi, which was in the airport, so I had no signal or anything. But I could see that they weren't in the thing, and I couldn't see where they were on my phone. However, as the plane was turning around, taxiing around the runway, connected to the Wi-Fi, and I could see my AirPods were just fucking trundling through the airport. So obviously I've assumed at this point they'd found them. No one's told them, and then they're going to get handed in and posted back to me. So I get off the other end. I know this sounds like a lot of... If you've got nothing else to worry about on a flight, like, it's going to be really annoying.
Yeah,
so
yeah,
I got to Manchester, like, hey, can I fill in a form? And they were like, this is what my annoyance with the airline is, right? I waited there. You can't get back on the plane again. Okay, go lost and found. Went lost and found. We can't find him. Get him on the plane. Went back on the plane. They're not on the plane. Get to the other side. Got to the desk. She went, oh, you have to ring up and find out about it. I'm like, can no one just get them for me? Like, I don't understand why all these desks. Why all these people?
Standard, mate.
And that was the last time I saw them. They weren't there. I rang the airline. They'd come back with some shit excuse saying I couldn't find them. I'm like, oh, just a bit weird how they was walking through the airport when I was flying away, like, after not being found. And
Person's had a touch, hasn't they, Cal?
Yeah.
Yeah. Find a new pair of AirPods.
Yeah,
You're buzzing, in you?
I just wrote it off and I forgot about it. But I'd marked them as lost. I forgot about that. And then, like, 3 months later, I think I looked at the Find My looking for my laptop, and I could see my AirPods were in Qatar, and they were moving around on that day. And I was like, some cheeky person is wearing them around Qatar, and I was like, oh, I bet it's a member of staff. And then from that moment I was sort of obsessed with it. Like, I'd take screenshots of it and put it on my story, like, oh, they've gone to the beach today, like, and people, it was sort of became an ongoing joke. And then, like, the sort of people were like, oh, you should fly out and go and get them back and chase them down. And I was like, no, that's ridiculous. And then they went to the Himalayan mountain. Like, one day I log in and it goes to the Himalayan mountains. I'm like, even I've never been to the Himalayas. My AirPods are there. I'm like, your AirPods have been to the Himalayas. Doesn't the Himalayas sound amazing?
Yeah.
And they went to this cool village in Nepal, and they were there for like 2 more months. And I was like, oh, they've been sold. Anyway, so long story short, I thought they'd been sold, and that was it. And then I think a month after that, it was like we're 5 months past it now, and people were still laughing at the fact, because I think I'd just bought some cheap AirPods and they broke in the gym or something, and I was doing a post about how annoyed I was, and I was like, I checked where they were, and they were back in Qatar. So that was it. And I just thought, I don't know why it hit me. I was like, you know what, I should go and get these back. Now, my company does marketing content, and we do very unique content. So one thing that came to me, I was like, well, we always say we're unique. We always say we're different. And we'd just done a thing where we'd taken a fake Elton John and done an advert, filmed it in real life when Elton John was performing, caused everyone to believe real Elton John was shopping, and caused chaos in Liverpool, like pandemonium, and we just done that, and I thought that was great content. It really shows how interesting marketing can be. I could put it on TikTok and people will laugh at it, whether they understand what I do as a marketing company or not. So I thought, what if I did the same sort of thing but with the AirPods? Like, what if I vlogged it and created content and made like an Apple advert, or like not an Apple advert as such, but more like, what if Apple wanted to do some social media content? Could they pick a customer who's lost their AirPods and send them on a mission to go and get them back? Would that make an interesting story? I'm like, I think that would. So I thought, well, it's marketing content. It's in line with the business.
I think it's decent content, mate. Yeah. I think it's bang on the money as well.
It's clever. I thought it was clever. I thought, well, no one. If you've got a marketing agency, if I was to show you what I do on a daily basis, it'd be a picture of me sat down on a chair on a laptop. That's not interesting. No. And then if I show you the adverts for clients that I make, most people wouldn't get it. They won't care because it looks like an advert. So if I show you behind the scenes, that's interesting. And I thought, well, vlogging content's quite interesting. It's still social media content. Apple could technically have done this with a customer and get loads of views.
100%.
And I thought, yeah, it's bang on what I do. And customers and my clients will understand, oh, that's a unique way of thinking. And that was it.
Plus, you get your headphones back,
and
right?
then the bottom line, and I think more the burning desire to find out who had them.
So who had them?
Well, this is it. So we flew over there, tracked them. And now, obviously, my planning only went to I'll go there and find them. Really, that's a very loose plan if you think about it.
You haven't thought about that.
No, but I rate it, though. It's just like working off a whim. Do you know what I mean? You're just going to go get them.
My plan was maybe they would be walking around. So I've got a hope that within the 5 days I'm in Qatar, they go out the house wearing my AirPods. That was my plan. And you can make it make noise. So I was going to go wherever they were, press the button and see who took the AirPods out. So there's this apartment block and there's like 40. There's two apartment blocks, one behind it, another block. There's probably about 40 apartments between them. And I'm like, shit. Because it just shows where. Like, it could be in that one, and that one. So I was going floor to floor and literally door by door trying to connect my AirPods via Bluetooth.
And you're filming it as well.
Yeah, I got a videographer with me.
Yeah, nice.
I took a guy with me because I thought it'd be hilarious. And then, yeah, literally trying to connect to him, man. And it wasn't connecting. And then like, it was like going, and then I was like, I just can't figure out why they're not connecting. Surely if I'm close enough, they connect within like 6 meters. It was like obsessive. And then I came out one of the apartment blocks. I looked, I could see there was like a wall, and behind it, there was like a lower level, which looked like there was like two apartments, like in a building as opposed to a block. And I was like, maybe it's just showing there, but it's actually in that building. So I go in there. The moment I walk in, for a second, like a split second, my phone went, your AirPods connected, and then went, boom, disappeared. And I was like, I was like, did you guys see that? And everyone's thinking, at this point, we picked up a hotel receptionist guy. He's with us.
Why?
Because we'd gone in earlier in the day, and I was like, oh, what if someone actually answers the door and they speak Arabic? I don't speak Arabic, and it's gonna be an awkward.
Oh, that would be awkward.
Because I'd be like, you wanker.
What did you say to the receptionist?
I told him the story. I was like, look, we've flown out, and he's called Kareem. And if you watch the video, like Kareem is just dead energetic. He was like, I want to join in. I was like, mate, I don't think you should. Like, you're too excited about this. Like, I'm thinking Kareem's like a low key murderer or something.
Yeah.
And he's like, no, I've got a car. Let's go. I'm like, we've got our own car. He's like, no, come in my car. And he's like, I'll drive. I'll knock on doors. He's just like going. He's basically saying, I don't give a shit. I'll knock on doors. I'm not going to get awkward about it. Like, I don't care. I'll speak to everyone. And he was literally like that. He
must have been bored, mate.
I think it was because it was technically he was getting guest services. This was a guest service. He liked the idea we'd flown over there and it was fun what we were doing. We're hunting something down. It's quite an adventure, isn't it? And he was just dead excited. So we'd be like, come along.
Yeah. It's fair.
Yeah, and we did. He knocked on doors. And then we got into like the building I was talking about. We got into one of them, the apartments, and spoke to someone. And he said, oh, they're all owned by the airport staff. And they all live. So I'm like, I'm in the right place. Yeah. And I'm like, so do you know everyone in these apartments? He went, yeah, we know everyone. So I was like, right. So he then walked us around.
He's a crucial piece.
Yeah. So this random guy, he was eating dinner at the time. So he's like, after food. So we're like sat in this random house. Eventually, we went around every room, and they did the thing that they connected again. They dropped off, and then they connected again and again, and kept dropping.
Emotional roller coaster.
Yeah, it was like third floor, second floor, and it was like second floor connected, and then it was like, oh, and then a room here. They were dropping off. Went in a room. We told them the story, and they're like, oh, well, it's night staff in here that are on shift, and there's day staff. We're day staff. Night staff might have them. I went around everyone's rooms, scanning the rooms you can scan with these AirPods. It's really sick how you can track them, and they just weren't connecting. And I said, look, I'm going to be here for 3 more days. I said, I'm going to be outside your house every day. And I'm going to be knocking on your door all day, every day, until I find my AirPods.
So persistent.
Because I know they're in this apartment.
They must have literally been like, who is this kid?
I know. I was like,
just trumped up.
I was like,
stacking it as well.
Someone was on a boat yesterday in this room. Who was on the boat? There's this address, who's on the boat? I was like, look, I'll make you a deal. And they're all like, what? I'm like, I'll be here every day with a camera guy outside every single day, knocking on your door, annoying you until you give him back. Or on the last day before I leave, I'll let the police know and the airline that you work for where your room is, and they can come and get him, you know? And then I'll send the video over.
Trump card. He's pulled it out, hasn't he?
Because then they're in their heads, they must be going, oh
shit.
Yeah. So I went outside, and I was literally just sorting out my plans for the night. Kareem's like, oh, shame. And we're all just chatting away about where we're going next. And then I get a phone call to go upstairs. And like, I gave my number, so ring me if you find him. And they just magically appeared. I was like, oh. Now, I wasn't angry about it. And actually, because they gave him back, I cut out any faces, any voices.
Nice.
And I tried to hide like where they could possibly live, because it's quite a big complex. There's quite a lot of apartments. So you wouldn't know which one it was. And I made it look like, I hid their identities because they were sound and handing them back.
Yeah, of course.
And the one guy who was responsible, I mean, I think it was him, because he was sort of sat on the stairs, and then some random guy was like, I'm really sorry about that. And I was like, no problem. And I'm assuming that was the guy. The one that said, I'm really sorry about that. That was it. You
can't even blame him either. Do you know what I mean?
He's found him. Well, see, this is my thoughts, right? Could I have my original thoughts? Right? I find him, and if it's someone who's really struggling, I'll let him keep him.
Yeah.
I just want the adventure of finding him. Can you find him?
It's fun. Yeah.
So that was my original plan. But I mean, they were all sat there. They all had laptops. They all had like tech products, and they all had like headphones and Apple products and stuff. And I was like, all right, so yeah, they're not rich, but they're not struggling. They're struggling. They like to eat and stuff. And they were all. It was like. I was like, oh, I don't feel bad because it's not like
they're sweet.
They're not really, really poor.
And you got a big W as well, because you actually got them back.
Yeah, and I found them. And I think the fact that they lied about it as well sort of made me think, you're not keeping him if I get him now.
Yeah, 100%.
Became clean straight away, fair enough. And
they're probably nervous though about the cameras.
Yeah, well, yeah. Because
like getting caught on the camera.
It was literally it was like, what's it called, like dating thing where they catch like husbands and wives and shit. They bust in with the camera. So yeah, like, my original plan was to let them keep them. But then I decided against that after I saw that they were actually all right. And then... going back. That was the end of that adventure.
Did you get much traction off the video?
Yeah, it was mental. Yeah. Like, I just sort of posted it and forgot about it. Like, I create content. It was just sort of my portfolio on my website, my clients on Hussel. And I was like, oh, I got a message from a newspaper. We want to run this story. And it was like, Daily Mail or something, and it was like Vice, then it was Metro, then it was like Joe.co.uk, and it was just like, then it was like Lad Bible, then it was like bomb, 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 and it was like my phone was going ding, 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 ding. And the last time it did that was when I got a really viral story when I was a kid, and yeah, so it just went wild, and then obviously it all blows up, and the story is obviously they can't write. A marketing guy creates marketing content for his business as a concept to showcase how unique he is. It was man spends £2,300 on a pair of AirPods tracking him around the world.
That sells better.
It does.
Yeah, it does.
And it is a true story. And the comments were hilarious. Like people were like, why did you buy another pair? I was like, mate, if only I fuck me, I didn't think of that. Like,
Yeah, naivety.
you know, it's more just like proper NPC comments.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
like non-playable characters going,
Yeah.
well, you should just buy a new pair. It's like, well, fuck me. That would have made great content.
Yeah.
So the old idea was to create content. My other annoyance there in the comments is sort of like, oh, look at him trying to stay relevant after The Apprentice. Look at him wanting to be famous.
I bet you get that a lot, don't you?
Just wants to be famous. Mate, I would rather jump in front of a train than try and be famous. Like, that is not my aim. My aim is to try and get eyes on the business and try and get clients and try and show them, look how different we are as a brand. Because people, the problem with marketing is they're all going, all marketing people are like, yeah, I'm a no bullshit marketer. I'm
Growth partner.
I'm a unique guru / ninja. It's like, mate, Karen, you're like 50. You read Harry Potter for fun. I mean, I read Harry Potter for fun.
Yeah.
These are bad examples. You enjoy Jenga. I mean, I enjoy Jenga as well. But the point is, like, that they'll say stuff because they think it's cool, but like I live those values. My life is very chaotic. It's very disruptive. It's all about being unique and saying yes to opportunities and seeing how things plan out. And that's the sort of marketing I employ for my clients. And so to showcase that, if I said I'm a disruptive, unique, unorthodox marketing, I put the UK's most unorthodox marketing agency, they're going to be like, nah, it's just noise. But if I show them, here's me chasing down a thief, 4,000 miles across the world, £2,300 spent to track him down, knock on his front door and say, hey, dickhead, give my AirPods back. That's interesting.
The thing is, mate, I rate it, and it's like congruent with your messaging for your business, so it makes sense. But obviously, from my perspective, like that's something that is usually grown. Do you know what I mean? After years and years of experience, I am interested. Like, what were you like when you were growing up?
So I was kind of always like this.
Were you in Manchester?
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you grow up in? Where'd you grow up?
Rochdale.
Rochdale. Shout out Rochdale.
Rochdale's quite a poor area. Like it's not a really nice area. It's really poor. My whole extended entire family are quite poor. My mum's got me, my brother, my 2 sisters, and we adopted my 2 cousins. So we were like a family of 7. She's a single parent and that sort of stuff. So my upbringing was quite tight. Everything's really tight budget wise. Like we were surviving.
Seven of you.
Yeah. Like, you I don't know, you probably don't know what Costco is, but our mum would go Costco and come back with like shit you could put in a slow cooker and you'd all eat from it for a week, that sort of stuff. And these weird cakes that no one quite knows what they are. There's 100 of them.
Just like random ones.
These pastries.
It's like macro, the equivalent to macro, innit? Wholesale.
So like, yeah, essentially. Yeah. So like, that was kind of my upbringing. It was just, I think it's quite normal for the northern families. Like, it's always been quite tight. A lot of people are quite poor up there. Not poor, but like would never ever say they're well off. Middle class is being able to afford to pay your bills and not struggling. That's kind of what we view as posh. Oh, look at them posh bastards paying their electricity bill on time. Do you know what I mean? Bastards got the heating on. Who the fuck has heating on? So like that sort of is how I would say Rochdale is, and we moved from there to like a more rural village.
If you don't mind me asking, where was your dad?
I never met him.
Never met him.
No. So he's never around. It's one of those things. And then we moved with my mum from Rochdale, and her idea was to move us away from a poor area. Might give us more opportunity to grow, right? So she figured move us away from that and away from the extended family, because obviously with lower economic areas, there comes things like we've got relatives who are addicted to drugs and relatives that
standard,
are
just like
drugs,
anywhere, right?
And some are in prison and things like that.
Yeah, of course.
So she moves away from that family. And we sort of grew up in this area where it was probably a level playing field in terms of like, you got the posh side, you got the poor side, and then you got a posh side and a poor side, and it's all mixed together. Kind of similar to London. You'll have a mansion opposite a housing estate. And it was kind of like, so all the kids went to the same schools and we all mixed and mingled. So it's actually, in that sense, it was a very good idea. I don't think she thought of that though. It's more just moving us away. So I'd mix with kids whose mum and dads have got businesses and stuff like that, and with big houses, and then other kids that are just like me on free school dinners and that sort of thing. So that's my upbringing. It's not like it's out the ordinary. It's not a sob story either, unfortunately. It's just quite normal.
It is what it is, mate.
It's quite normal.
Yeah.
It's quite common.
I think that's actually common in all areas.
Yeah.
Like across the UK.
I can only talk from my experience. I think when you go Birmingham up, you've got Birmingham, Manchester, Leeds, Newcastle. I think Leeds is quite posh, to be fair, but like you've got these big cities where it's very mixed. Like you have some from not the wrong side of the tracks. That's how they refer to it in America. But you got some from the poor areas, from the rich areas. But you mix together, and you're all in the same bars and clubs and pubs and stuff. So you all get to know each other. You got some of your mates are like wadded, their parents are loaded, and then some of your friends they can't afford to eat. So it's like kind of that sort of experience.
What were you like at school?
At school, I was, I would say, going back to your point before, was like what was like growing up was I was always very creative. I like the word creative because in school you would have called me a wanker. If you was a teacher, you'd be like, I don't understand how he's done something so weird.
What?
Now let me talk to you about how my mind works. My mind works in, people say that's a genius idea, where'd it come from? And I just go, I don't know, I just thought of it. Now, when I was a kid, I wasn't a marketer. I just had genius ideas. And I actioned them. That's my problem. I don't have ideas and then forget about them. I have ideas and action them.
Give us one of those ideas.
Okay, let's talk through some cool shit. Okay, here's an example. I was shopping in the small town. I went to a joke shop. Joke shops used to be sick, right? And there was these smoke bombs. And I was like, oh, what can I do with these? And these smoke bombs, you sort of lit them and they smolder and like massive plumes of smoke.
I remember them.
Yeah, they smelled like not garlic. They smelled like, I don't know, off potato. This probably stinky smell, like cabbage, something like that, right? So it really stunk. So my first adventure with them was setting one off in school, yeah, and then watching the corridor fill with smoke. People thought it was a fire, and there's evacuation. And I was like, that was very interesting. That was an interesting reaction, wasn't it? So then the second adventure with that was, what if you set one off on the bus? So I set one off on the bus. Now, this is where you think it's a weird idea, right? So my idea was to set a smoke bomb off, just to see what happened. I set a smoke bomb off. And if you was walking down that road that day, what would have happened is smoke bomb goes off. Bus driver gets really angry because he knows it's a smoke bomb. He's fuming, yeah. He's like, whole bus is filling with smoke, and he's going, "I am fucking sick of you wankers." Like, he hates his life, and he hates kids. Every day they try and tip the bus over, and he goes around the corner. They run to one side, and the bus is always on two wheels, and he's fuming. He hates us anyway.
Imagine being a school bus driver; it'd just be the worst.
That's a
like
shit
high
job,
school
innit?
buses.
That would be the worst.
So I done that, and so he's fuming. He's like, he starts going, right, you're going back to school, turns the bus around, driving everyone back. He don't know who's done it. And then you got kids at the back of the bus who haven't heard him ranting. So they see him speeding up, turning around, and they think the bus is on fire. So immediately, they panic. So they start jumping out the back fire exits. So you've got a driver swearing and his window open and shouting at kids at the front, smoke coming out of the bus, and kids starting to fall out the back of a school bus, jumping out into the main road in the middle of a town. And the whole time I was just sat there just like,
This is all me.
just watching in pure wonderment at like, whoa, this escalated.
I did this.
Yeah, and obviously, so when you sat in the thingy room, like, why'd you do it? And you're like, I literally just wanted to pull the thread. I wanted to light a smoke bomb and see what happened. I didn't know there was gonna be kids rolling down the road and like, you know, police trying to pull the bus driver over because they think there's something wrong with the bus. I didn't know that was gonna happen. I just wanted to light the fuse, and so that was kind of all the things I did. Another great idea I had following that, I got more creative, was we used to go around to people's houses and like we'd put them in under the grill of the car, and it never used to cause any damage. So you would smolder them, put them on the grill, and light them, and then it looks like the car's on fire, and we go and knock on the door and be like, mate, your car's on fire, and then watch their reactions. Like, shit, mate, thanks. And then run out and like spray the hose pipe down, and then just see you turn around and see like 20 kids like, ah ha ha, like laughing.
Yeah, I think that's class. You used to do like stuff like that all the
Yeah,
time.
standard, isn't it?
It's like little creative.
Just young
pranks.
lads.
Yeah.
Exactly. And so I always had these creative ideas. My biggest achievement in school was I planned a heist. Playing GTA, obviously, and there was I'd found the keys to this dumper truck on a building site, and I was walking my own stupid business, and I was like, oh, I look around and there's a dumper truck. I'm like, surely not. I go over to it and it starts, and I was like, oh. So then my mind's ticking. So I go online, learn how to drive this dumper truck, and I'm like 13 years old. I get everyone in school. I'm like, oh, guys, you don't believe this. I've got some keys, yeah? The keys for a dumper truck, and we're going to nick it. And they're like, what do you mean we're going to nick it? It's like, yeah, I'm going to drive it to the quarry, and we're going to drive around in it, and no one's going to hear us because we're in a quarry. So I'd like planned to get it to this quarry where no one's going to see us. And we just had to get it across town. So I went and bought some walkie-talkies, and I got all the guys that had walkie-talkies get involved, and we give them all out, and I give them a map. I'm like, here's the map. We're going to go from here to here. You guys can be on this corner, you guys on that corner, you guys on that corner. And that was the plan.
At least you've like hit in a like strategic way.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
You see the police tell me, we get off the main road, hide the dumper truck. Like, what an idiot. Like I'm just going to stash it in a garden. No one's going to
know. Side.
Loads of kids like... That was my plan anyway. It was clever, wasn't it? I had to go basically out a road, down a road, left, and then up a hill. 10 minutes. That's all it was going to take. So the night before I went there, practicing how to drive it. driving it around in circles and everything. Like, I'm like, I've got a feel for this. I'm like 30 and I'm driving a dumper truck. I'm like, those guys overpaid. And then
It's class.
the day came, everyone's in position. I'm like, right, and you do the proper like code names, like, I don't know, we'll call ourselves, whatever, but like, you ready, Roger? Yeah, I'm ready. Like all these little voices. If you was listening that night, you'd have been like, what the fuck is going on outside? And then I must have started driving it, and immediately someone seen me. He's seen some little lad driving down the road, a dumper truck, rang the police. I got onto the main road, and immediately it was like, woo! And literally, I remember looking down the road at where my little minions were all on walkie-talkies and that, and then there's like them all legging it. Like you just saw loads of kids running the other way, and then I just took the rap for everyone. And what annoyed me about that situation, I went to prison, I got arrested. I didn't go to prison, I got arrested, put in the cells, and my mum came to get me. I was like, please leave me in the cell, because I could hear her outside screaming about how she was going to strangle me. I remember I took the rap for everyone. I said it was all my idea. I did it on my own. Rah, rah, rah.
It was your idea, wasn't it?
Yeah, but they was involved. Little lads like, yeah, you should do this. You should definitely do it. So anyway, the long story short is I used to have all these really creative ideas, and back then it was just, I didn't know how to harness them. I didn't know what to do with them. I didn't know I was any different either. I used to get in a lot of trouble for things that were silly like that. I'll be honest, I thought I was a bad kid. I didn't realize I just think different. And I think there's a lot of people that think like that, and then they get told to change how they are. I sort of stayed doing creative things, and then after a while I did start to fit in with everyone else, and then I went to work abroad, and so I didn't really go through the same grown-up phase as everyone else.
So what was it like transition from like school? Do you leave school at like 16?
Yeah, no, I tried to go to college. I actually got kicked out of 3 colleges. Not surprising, because when they actually don't have to keep you there anymore and you're a weirdo, like, you're not going to get very far. And I think also not being interested in what I was studying was a big factor.
What were you studying?
I was doing I didn't know what I wanted to do at 16.
No one does.
No. And I enjoyed sports. I played basketball at the time. And I thought, maybe I'm meant to play sport. And I went to study sport, and I just found it really, I understood it. It wasn't hard to understand. Like I found it interesting to learn it. But then when I actually thought about working in that space, I just didn't see it. So then I sort of failed after my first year. Then I started working in nightclubs at like 16, 17.
What are you doing, promo?
No, like working behind the bar.
Oh, fair.
Yeah, like I just went, I'm 18. Oh, you can serve them. Like, yeah, sweet. So I started working at nightclubs, and then I think my attention sort of went from study to women.
Standard.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
because I was in
normal,
nightclubs and seeing like, oh, you get drunk on nights out, and people like sexy girls coming. I'm like, yeah, like at 16 years old, of course I'm not going to be interested in studying anymore. So I was out every night, partying and things like that. And then obviously it became like a thing. Like I wouldn't go to class. I'd be hungover and like that throughout the week, and I missed. So I got kicked out. The second one, third time I tried going, I went for like the last couple of 2 months, and I left. So the third one I just gave up.
And at this time, are you working in the bars like simultaneously?
Yeah, so I was working like Thursday, Friday, Saturdays, and then like studying during the week. And then to be honest, I probably started working in clothing shops as well, like just generating cash. I didn't know what I wanted to do. I just knew I enjoyed the party atmosphere. I started watching club reps on TV, and like I used to remember getting the magazine at sixth form the first time I went to the college, and I would like read the magazine. I used to go to Thomas Cook's shop, get the Club 1830 magazine, go through the resort places, and be like, mate, look at the. I was like, do you know what these club reps do? I was like, they get pissed every day, and they just get to hang out with girls in bikinis, and my mate's like, we don't understand. I'm like, alcohol, ladies, I don't get it, and sun and beaches and hotel. You can be on holiday all the time.
It shouldn't be a sell, mate.
No, it's not. My mates just didn't see it, and I was like, I'm going to be a holiday rep. Like I just been like, it just, to me as a young lad, I was like, it just sounded like the most fun thing in the world. So like I went through all the training, and I got a lot of sales training and stuff like that back then. Because when you were a rep, 1830 rep, a lot of it is sales, very commission based, heavily commission based.
What is 1813?
Jesus Christ, how old are you again? 27.
27, yeah. So I think
I'm only 32, man.
Yeah. I think it's just past us.
It closed when I was like 25. So like 1830 was basically like your clubbing holidays.
Oh, okay.
Like that was the place to go. Like 1830 was cool as
like Jet Apartments in Ibiza.
No, but they worked everywhere.
Oh, just across the board.
So they provide holidays to Ibiza, to Ayia Napa, to Magaluf, to Faliraki, all these places. And they were like, you went with them, you was in the best bar crawls. There was like 1,000 people like on a boat party, and like everyone was naked. Like it was mental.
I hear you. I know what you mean.
They
now.
were just insane parties. Like they were basically, the whole part of the job was sell loads of stuff and then make the biggest parties, make people have the best time they ever possibly could have, and then they would want to come back again next year. It was just like that. So I mean, I'm looking at this thing going, oh, that is, and even a TV show about it. Like I was watching the TV show, reading the magazine. I'm like, I knew I have to get out of it. Like I'm failing at college, and this fun shit's happening over here. Like, I'm going. So I just booked a flight. I applied. got accepted onto the training course, and then I went through like all this sales training, shitloads.
What
of
is the sales training like?
Like selling holidays, how to meet guests, how to sell to them. The moment they arrive, the idea is to get as much money out of your pocket into my bag. Like, it's literally that sort of like intense. It's just that it's all the pretense of like it's fun, but they'll have a great time, but I'm going to take all your cash.
Yeah. I'm taking all that spending money.
And you would sell to a group of like 40 people, and then your job is to get around that room as fast as possible and get everyone's money off every single person individually. Like, it wasn't just one-to-one sales, it was group sales.
Did you get like commission structure on that?
Yeah, you made a lot of money doing that.
Did you?
Well, I didn't. But I could have if I wasn't spending it all on drink. But yeah, so like I got a lot of sales training and really enjoyed it. And it was all like public speaking, group sales, talking to 40 people, getting them all excited about a boat party.
What a decent set of skills to be like developing at 18.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
I was doing it because I thought it was fun, right? I didn't realize how good of a setup this was. And then then you're on the tours, leading the tours. I'm 18 years old, breaking up fights between 30 and 40-year-olds and like sorting issues.
Oh, is that the age range? I thought it was just going to be like standard, like lads' holidays, 18, 19, 20, 21.
Oh, they went to like 35, 40.
Oh, really?
Like dealing with theft, dealing with robberies, dealing with missing people, dealing with injuries, dealing with like more serious
Proper
stuff.
life skills, you know what I mean? Standard.
18 years old, like, you remember what you're like when you're 18, like to deal with something so seriously. So I basically forged these skills, and I did this for like 8 seasons, like different companies and stuff. I went skiing and rah.
So what's the first season? Where'd you go?
I was in Bulgaria.
Oh, mate.
Did you choose that, or did you get sent there?
I think it was sick.
Mate, it's a bit of mate, it's a fucking curveball, isn't it?
Yeah,
Like,
Bulgaria. But imagine, right? I've obsessed about this job.
You're in Manchester. You fly off to Bulgaria.
I was obsessed about this job as well. Yeah, and I think I'm going to get somewhere like Ibiza.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
And you're going to Sunny Beach, and I'm going.
Oh, that sounds unreal.
I was like, it sounds shit, doesn't it?
Sunny Beach.
Yeah.
I thought that like
No,
as an 18-year-old, you'd be like, oh, it's decent.
It sounded bad. Like, it's like something like the sexy apartments, and you just know there's gonna be dog shit on the bed.
yeah. That's fair.
Hotel's sunny. No. So I was like, where is this place? Bulgaria. And obviously, I had no knowledge of Bulgaria. I was like, I just knocked for 6, went there, and it turns out Bulgaria is a really big place for Scandinavians. So 18 years old, to be surrounded by thousands of Scandinavian girls.
Yeah,
I was very happy out there. I was like, send me here every year because no one else wanted to go there. And then I only lasted like 3 months because immediately what happened was I went, because obviously part of the job is going out every single night and selling, doing late night airport runs and constantly selling and being awake all day long. So you get very little sleep, 2 or 3 hours of sleep a night, and you're always pissed. I burnt out like that.
I bet.
Like, by about 3 months in, I couldn't even keep my eyes on. I was missing coaches, I was missing trips, I was missing meetings.
How long do you reckon you could last at that? Jen, I reckon I got a week in me.
Mate, the thought of it now, like 2 nights.
Yeah,
2 nights now for me, I'm done.
No,
but probably a week, maybe a couple of weeks.
Do you know what I mean? 2 weeks tops.
3 months.
3 months.
I was impressed that I managed to do it, but then I was really sad because I got sort of, they didn't fire me. They said, right, look, they obviously knew exactly what happened. I'm 18 years old. They were like, we're not firing you because if we fire you, you can't work for us again. We're just going to say you leave and then you apply next year. I think what they were saying is you'll be good when you're older. And I was really good with the guests. I really was. I was just going out all the time, and like if the option was, would you like to go and hang out with this group of girls and get drunk for the night, or go to bed early and get up for the airport in the morning? I'd be going straight from that
100%.
Yeah, that bar straight to the airport. And
when you're like 18 as well, like you don't need to handle all that. Do you know what I mean?
I remember the boss at the time telling me you can't. It was literally like, you can try as much as you want. There is no way you can have sex with every girl in this resort. Like, you can keep trying, but you can't. You physically can't have sex with every girl in the world. And I was like, I'm going to fucking try. Like, don't dare challenge me with a good time. So I'm 18. I was a little shit. Like, and that's all. And that's my focus, because I think this is quite common. I think a lot of people don't find their focus in life. So I had no identity. I just identified as a guy who wanted to go out and party and meet girls. And that was my focus.
How on earth do you even know who you are at 18?
That's true.
Do you know what I mean? You're literally a kid.
Did you create that identity to go out with?
Well, think about it. I'd failed at college, didn't know what I wanted, was lost working nightclubs. I was good at working nightclubs. I was good at meeting people. And it turns out I was good at sales and public speaking and leading tours and activities. So that I was like, okay, maybe I'm a rep.
But did you obviously prior going to that, you can think, oh, I can be whoever I want when I go. So when you went out there, were you like, I'm going to be this outrageous person?
Actually, I didn't know that you could be anything. Really weirdly. I know that you get told that at school, you can be anything you want. And I sort of was aware of that sort of mentality, but I didn't think that. I didn't think I could be anything. I didn't know what I was meant to be, but I just knew that I didn't fit in. Going back to the earlier things, I just knew I thought differently to everyone else. I felt different and I acted different. And sometimes I didn't quite fit in with social circles as well, because I'd do something weird, or like come up with a really crazy idea. And so I identified as a guy that goes abroad, and I would give you the best night out. I'd take you out on resort, and I'd look after you, and then try and find a girlfriend every night.
So that first company, did you end up leaving them, coming back, and then going back another year later?
So I flew straight from Bulgaria to Falaraki in Greece.
Okay.
And I was a worker instead, so I worked at a bar. My job there was just selling to girls.
Why Greece though? Like just
it's because the lad that was working for 1830, he also quit. He went to Falaraki, and he said you should come out here. And I was like sick, and I knew the guys there from the reps. They were also working there. I was like, cool, 4 people I know. Went there, and my job was just to meet girls and get them to go in the bar. I used to do stuff like play games at the bar, at the front of the bar, mess around, costume, fancy dress. Like I found that if you wore something that was nickable, like a rubber ring, it just attracted people to you, and they want to steal whatever you had. So I was good at that job. I used to hoard them all in.
Peacocking.
Yeah,
peacocking. That's all
before it was even a thing. Like I was just a twat, and then I broke my foot, and I was using the crutches to get people in. It's like I enjoyed it so much, but again, it was more. When I think back, what the skills are: sales skills, public speaking, leading the. Creating the experience, leading the experience,
connections, introductions, everything.
I'd go into a bar tired, and I knew that if I didn't bounce around the bar and make everyone excited, they would go and have a shit time and wouldn't come back. So
low energy.
Yeah. So it's all about giving people an experience, and that became my thing. That's what I was good at, and I didn't know anything else. And then what I would do is in the winters, I'd do ski. Ski was a bit different, a bit more chilled out. But that's actually how I came across entrepreneurs and business owners. And this company I worked for actually was a little bit less party focused, and it was more skiing with families and things. And so you would be a ski guide. So like they come on holiday and you would go out skiing with them all day long. And I met these guys, and they're rocking up in the resort, and they'd driven themselves out there, I guess, and they're coming like Maseratis. Now you drive a Maserati from England abroad with your family, you are loaded. Like imagine how much fuel that would be. And they got, and it was like just like a dead cool scene. It was like a movie. They had like skis on the roof, and these guys were from like London, and they were like suave. I think I swear down. I even to this day I swear down they wore a suit. I said this yesterday. Like, I'm sure they were wearing suits when they came out. They can't have been because it's nonsensical.
Yeah, no way.
But like that's how I saw it in slow motion. Like whoa, what the fuck is this? I was just like, who are these guys? And they seem really cool. And then my job was actually just hang out with them and go skiing with them. And like we would go to a restaurant on the mountain, and these guys were like spending $500-600 quid a meal and paying for my food, and I'm like living on soup. Do you know what I mean? So I'm like, I'd like to hang out with you more, please, because I get free food. And I would ski them around the mountain to spend my time asking them questions. I was haunting them. I was asking them everything, like how'd you get? Because obviously, right, in my entire life, I've never met anyone successful, so I've never had the chance to ask a question. So when I'm absolutely enthralled by what the is going on here, these guys are cool, I'm asking loads of questions and stuff like that, and I'm getting to know them, and they're all coming back with like, you can start a business, why don't you? Well, you're not going to make money like this as a rep, are you? Like, what's your story? And I'm like,
is that where the seed was planted then?
Yeah. It's like, why don't you? Because it's true, isn't it? Why don't you? You don't need money. I'm like, you need money. You don't need fucking money to start. Like, well, I don't know anything. We'll go and find out. Well, I need to study something. We'll go and study business. So every time I gave them an excuse, they were like, we'll go and do it. Now, that's my attitude now. Yeah. But back then, if you never got told that you can do that, then how the fuck are you supposed to know that's even a thing?
Mate, what you don't know, you don't know.
Correct.
Yeah.
And
just standard.
And in my town, and in my community, in my family, no one in that space talks about anything you could do outside. And the idea was you just get a job. It wasn't even necessarily a good job, just get a job.
Factory job.
Yeah. I got mates that still work in Tesco. And it was our first job at 16. Like, I used to do day shift there and night.
We did that as well, to be fair.
Yeah, me and him used to work next to each other on the checkout.
You look like two lads that work at Tesco. Do you know what I mean?
Fuck off,
no,
mate.
No, like proper little like wide boys, like
What do you mean
throwing
wide
shit across, chatting up all the customers. I can see it a mile off. No, do you know what I mean? Like cheeky guys.
No, we got accused of stealing, didn't we?
Yeah, we did, to be fair.
I still never forgive Tesco for like my first day in a professional working environment. I did like a video training course and everything. Someone sent me to the deli to go and get chicken lips, and I went down there like a twat. And I'm there going, you got chicken lips.
Yeah,
And
how
I'm
have
like,
you fallen?
I know, yeah. And I'm there going, they're going, there's no such thing, mate. I'm like, there's chicken lips. They need them at Tills. And I come back and everyone's
Schoolboy.
like, we got you. And I was like, I hate you guys. And it's
That's
like,
dead banter though, isn't it?
It's like sort of, and I fell for it like a twat. And you get the long stand. Go get a long stand or a glass hammer. Anyway, so that sort of experience of working in, I've lost what I was doing.
You were saying about obviously when you were out there with the entrepreneurs, how like they were basically giving answers to your excuses. So how does that fucking spiral out as you come back?
Yeah, so it didn't. It spiraled there and then. I was in Italy at the time, and I was 21. I was about to turn 22 that summer, and they're like, "Yeah, you go. You just go." I was like, "Well, I don't know anything about business." And they're like, "We'll go and study it then. Read some books. Do a listen to podcasts." I mean, podcast wasn't a thing then, and YouTube was like it was there, but it wasn't really good. So it's like, just go read books, go study it. So I was like, "Could I study it?" And they're like, "Yeah." The sort of consensus I was getting was, "Don't be a rep. You're not gonna make any money. Go get a job. Go university. Go get a job. use that money, save, start a business. That's the general consensus between financier guys I was meeting, entrepreneurs and business owners. That seemed like the most common sense things with it. I was like, oh wow, maybe I can go uni then. I'll be kicked out of 3 colleges. Why the fuck am I thinking I'm going to go uni? I didn't even think how I was going to go to uni. I just went, good idea.
Made a decision.
Yeah, I ran my mum actually. I quit my job and I was like, I'm flying home. I'm going to go uni. And she's like, I don't think you are quite capable of that, big man. It's not for you. It's just not for you. And I was like, I think it is. She's like, no, it's just not for you.
How's that feel though, coming from your mum?
No, I think she was more confused because she'd seen me get kicked out of 3 colleges. And as far as she was concerned, I was away and I was traveling and I was enjoying life, right? She didn't know I was struggling for money all the time and stuff. So anyway, long story short, came home and I was like, right, how am I going to go uni? Well, I haven't got any A-levels. I read about a foundation degree. You can do a foundation degree to get into uni and then do a degree. So I did that, a foundation degree.
In what?
Business.
Okay, what, business and management?
Yeah. And then I went and did a degree in business management. I remember the first day I came in, I had to do it at the college. The college, ironically, was a college I've been at, 4 years, 5 years before.
Oh, mate, it's a tough play, isn't it? You went back to college, didn't you?
I went back to college. A bit older, to be fair. I was I was 21.
Yeah.
21 till 23.
So it's awkward because everyone else was like 16.
Mate,
Yeah, they're all kids.
I remember being sat at the front of the class looking back, and I've got 16-year-olds like ripping shorties at lunch break, coming back in stoned, and I'm looking at them thinking, God.
I remember arguing with the library staff because they're coming in and be like, you lot need to quiet it down. I was like, bitch, I'm 21 years old. I'm an adult. Fuck you. Don't speak to me like a child. And then my argument was, and then I'd get sent in like front of someone. I'd be like proper putting a case forward. Like, don't fucking argue with me. You put an adult course on and you got staff speaking to us like children. I'm still a child at 21 thinking I know it. I caused a massive, I eventually got my own library, not my own personal library, but like one made for the adults, our own section. So I was a little shit still at college. But the point was, remember the first day, them going, why are you studying business? You get kicked out of 3 colleges, and I was like, well, I don't want to be the dumbest guy in the room. And they were like, but you don't need to start a business you don't need to study business to start a business. And I'm like, yeah, but I don't want to be the dumbest guy in the room. My perception was that if I didn't study, I was going to be put like on the back burner. I was going to be treated like I was stupid. And I didn't want that. I didn't want to be sat. I had this idea of a boardroom. It's quite a scary place. I had an idea that if I was in a boardroom, there'd be smart people in there, all with qualifications, and I didn't want to be the uneducated guy. So that was my perception of it. And that was what I explained to them. I was like, I just don't want to be the dumbest guy in the room.
Do you reckon that partially comes from obviously your upbringing, being in the poorer end of like a rich and poor school?
That and there's, whilst working abroad, I was meeting reps that had degrees and they would literally rub it in your face. They just finished their degrees, so they were dead proud of it and they'd been told their entire lives that they're smart now.
Isn't it funny how the consensus has switched so much? Like nowadays, if someone tells you they've got a degree, it's not actually that impressive. Unless in certain subjects it is, but the majority of subjects it's not really that impressive if you've got a degree.
I think some people, again, I put it down to not actually knowing what you are as a person and identify as a degree when they go, oh, I'm a post-grad now, I'm a graduate, I'm smart.
Posh names.
Yeah, they go and change their name to Chad.
Why have you got a vendetta against Chad?
No, it's just because Chad's the guy with the chin, isn't it? Like,
the blonde guy on Twitter. That's what the Americans say about a Chad.
Yeah, like if you're a Chad, you're like a
A
jock.
Yeah, like a jock, but like a smart one. No, yeah. So like, if realistically, if I saw it like that, that's why I went back. And then I studied a degree.
What's it like going back to studying after like 3 or 4 years of like?
I found it
getting pissed and being on the slopes and out partying.
I find it So this is the big thing. I was saying this on the way down. Is that for me the biggest thing was sacrificing. So my happy place has always been travel, right? But I'd met these guys abroad and they said, you might be happy now, mate, but in 10 years, if you're a holiday rep at 30, like if I was in my 30s, a holiday rep, you're not going to be happy anymore.
Mate, the thing is, when you go to those islands, you see those guys and they just got left behind and they're still there 8, 9, 10, 11 years.
You guys want to go out?
You're old, mate.
You want to go out dancing around the pool, like,
and you're looking at things you shouldn't still be out.
You're
mate.
31, renting quad bikes out, like
and driving around chatting up 18-year-olds.
Yeah, do you know what I mean? It's too much.
It's very easy to get caught in that life because if that's always been your happy place and you enjoy travel, you can see why they stay there. They never had anything at home. Why would they go back? Their friends have all moved on. They've got nothing at home.
The thing is, I actually do get it from that perspective because I'd rather do that than work at Tesco's at 31.
Yeah, they don't want to go back. And you've never set routes. You never have a journey, and you identify as a travel person. That's your thing. You're a travel person. So, and it's very easy trap to fall into because I felt like for the first probably 4 years. I mean, I studied for 4 years, but like all the time through it, like in the summer, I would still go away. I'd try and work abroad still in the summer, and then after a while, I decided to do a master's degree. And there was that summer in particular where the master's started in September. So I couldn't. I couldn't go away early, and it would run for an exact year. So it goes September instead of like summer off.
So how did you get on in the degree then? Did you do all right in it then, I take it?
I got a 2-2 in my degree because I fucked up my dissertation and one of the modules that pissed me off. So that's why I did a master's. More out of spite. I'm like, I'm not fucking taking this 2-2. I didn't come back to university to get a 2-2. I wanted a 2-1 because I got told that was what a good grade was. So then I went and did a master's in marketing just to get the grade I wanted. It sounds like a silly thing, but to me it was important. Anyway, long story.
Chip on your shoulder vibes, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, I was still going away in the summers at that point, and then in that before I went to the masters, I sort of I had to make the sacrifice. Like, well, I know that if I do this master's degree, I actually had a job for that summer lined up. And I was like, I was in very interestingly, that was a summer I was supposed to work with Luke. Luke is now my business partner in travel.
Oh, okay.
So he was going to be my partner in resort, and I'd got a job lined up and everything. And ironically, that guy who was hiring me is also now becoming a client. He owns a company.
It's weird how things go full circle, isn't it?
Anyway, long story short, I knew that if I didn't go away that summer and I went and did a master's degree, I probably wouldn't get to go abroad and travel again as a rep.
Why did you want to travel so much?
I loved the freedom of being able to meet, and it's a different environment. Everyone's happy.
Different cultures.
Different
Everyone's
cultures.
on holiday, so like, how could you not? Like, do you know what I mean? The
You
energy.
meet amazing people from different backgrounds, but there's no money in it if you're just one of the workers. Like if you're just working in the hotel reception, if you're just one of the reps, there's no money in it for you because the money's in it. There's money's held by like the big families that run everything and the big holiday companies that run everything. That's where the money is, and those guys own bars. And you would see those guys. They come across in their yacht and they'd like come into the resort. They have like VIP areas in the bar. So I was around them all the time. And I was just sick of looking at them going, I want to be like those guys. It's the same thing as the winter. Like, I want to be like those guys. How do I get to that point? It takes years of work, but I'm willing to put in that work.
Mate, it's funny because like as soon as you see someone that you want to emulate, you can't get rid of that idea in your head.
But again, I think it's once you see something that you go, that's what I want to get to. That's
yeah,
where
exactly.
I want to go.
Yeah, I'm literally going through like a similar thing at the moment with someone. It's just like he's got to the level I want to get to. So like I'm just going to try and be a little bit like him.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? I'm going to try and listen to everything he says.
That's how it starts. It starts by you emulating them. You apply their logic and their opinions into what you do, and then eventually you find your own way.
Exactly.
But it moves you from step A to step C.
For sure, but you also need to like, you can't take everything they say like as gospel.
No,
do you know what I mean?
It could be chatting shit.
100%. And not only that, it's also like their interpretation of their experiences and their actions are partially reliant on that, and your experience is different, right?
Yeah.
Well, this is why I've got such a big thing about helping young people. I call it sending down the elevator and bringing them up to the next level. It's a big passion of mine, and I'll do anything I can to be a part of it. Any school, any opportunity to talk to students, any time to get in front of them and say, you can fucking do this. Like, I was shit at school. I was kicked out of X, Y, Z. I'm not meant to do this. I wasn't meant to get a degree. I wasn't meant to get a master's. You know, my lecturer at Bury College that kicked me out years ago was so confused. I came back to Bury to talk to their students about how I got
Oh, mate, that must have been a cool moment, though.
Yeah, it was. And you know what the annoying thing it was?
What?
She came in and she was like, oh, I taught him everything else. And I was like, you nearly made me fucking fail at everything.
Mate, you should have fucking lit a smoke bomb in there.
But like, I think it's important because again, they don't know what they don't know.
Yeah.
And I only know there's all these stories of me reaching out to people and stuff that helped me along the way. And if it wasn't for every single person I'd interacted with, people that I met by accident, there's no way in hell would I have ever taken steps to change my life. And I know I'm not where I want to be yet, but I know I'm well on a fucking way. These kids need to know that there is a way throughout. Because if you're from a family like I'm from, why would you have ever experienced that? You might have seen it on YouTube, it's not for you. You might have, everything seems like it's not for you. You just know what you know. Your family circle, your environment, you become a product of your environment. That's why they say 4 of your friends smoke weed, you become the 5th. And it's true, you will.
Yeah.
It's normal, mate. You know, you literally are, you are subjective to the 4 people you hang around most with.
Yeah.
And that's just normal. How could you not be?
Yeah. And the same thing, if you're from a poor family, then, you know, poorer families tend to hang with poorer families, go the same places.
Standard, mate. If your mum's on benefits, the people she hangs around with are usually single mums.
And it's normal. It's normal. If you're on benefits, everyone's on benefits.
Standard.
Exactly. So why would you think any different about having kids at a young age and having ongoing benefits as well?
For sure. And like that one moment that you're talking about that you could influence like the younger kids with could actually change their lives. So I always remember 16 years old, I went in basically like a family friend or, you know, partial family member's car, and he had like a Audi S6. It's like the first fast car I'd been in. And then from that moment, I was like, boom, I started working telesales for him. And like that one moment was iconic to sort of change my mindset, if that makes sense.
My moment was seeing those guys rock up in the resort.
Yeah.
And then it's not even that, it's having access to them. Because I might have known they existed, the nice cars exist and stuff, but I never had access to anyone with anything like that. and never had access to someone who had their own business. Why would I? Why would they come into my life? Like, they're not going to be in the shit nightclub I work at, and they're not going to talk to me in Tesco on the checkout.
Yeah.
Like, they're probably not even going to be at Tesco. They'll be at fucking Waitrose or something fancy like
M&S.
Yeah.
that. Those wankers.
I want to be. Thing is, mate, M&S food is literally significantly better than Tesco's.
It's marketing.
It's better.
No, it's not.
No, it is. 100%.
I work in marketing.
No, I know you do, but the food quality is better.
You're a marketer.
The food quality
I bet
is
you
better.
think there's a difference between Tesco's Premium and Tesco's Finest.
I definitely think Tesco's Finest is better than the normal
Do you
Tesco's
buy
range.
like fancy paracetamol, or do you buy like just like
Nah,
Tesco's own?
we know that's the same.
Well, no, you know that's the same.
Yeah. The food quality's not though.
my
How can
God.
you even argue
To
that?
be fair, I have actually heard that the Lidl chicken is the same as Waitrose chicken.
Thank you.
I've
There
actually
you go.
heard that
Where have
before.
you heard that from?
I swear, a girl that is from...
Gonna make up a lie, don't you?
wait,
A girl whose friend's my uncle's sister.
It's one of my mum's clients' daughters worked at Lidl.
My mum's client's daughters?
It is, I'm being serious. One of my mum's
client's
clients'
daughters.
daughters. Bit of a long-winded one, but she actually worked at Lidl.
It wouldn't surprise me if like the chicken came from the same like
Supply chain.
farm, but
Yeah,
I'd
yeah.
say like surely there's a better quality in like the food.
I think a lot of products are very similar. I'm only joking when I say it's marketing. It's like it is. A lot of it is branding.
Even if it is a placebo,
Yeah.
it definitely
Well,
fucking
the
works.
brand
Yeah.
attracts.
I mean.
The brand attracts a certain type. Like John Lewis attracts a certain type. I tell you what, my dream is to be able to walk into booths. You know what booths? Have you heard of booths?
What's
Nah, I
that?
never heard of that.
Booths is like a fucking M&S on steroids. Like they don't even have normal shop shelves in there. They have like these weird artisan shelving, and
What's that?
everything's in a weird unbranded tub.
What?
And like booths. I came across one. I was in Manchester and I was like, this is some fancy ass shop.
Yeah.
Like where chocolate is like £4 a chocolate bar. Like if I could go shopping in a place like that, I'd be happy.
Marketing, mate.
Yeah.
You're getting done over, mate.
I know, I'm falling for it. I'm paying for some shitty chocolate that's £4 a bar. But yeah, like, but to be fair, M&S is a bit like that. They use weird shop shelves, don't they, to make you feel like you're in somewhere more unique.
Mate, I don't actually shop there much. My missus goes there occasionally. That's about
I
it.
just heard about it.
Yeah. But obviously, just to pull back, you start, hammering the masters.
Yeah.
What do you do? Business and management for the masters as well?
No, it's business marketing.
Business marketing.
So
Okay.
it's a mixture of both, the both units. Now, business management foundation is just pretty much just like the basics of business, right? And then you do some sort of modules like marketing and accounting. And then business degree is a little bit more in depth. And you get basically, now I see the value in it. It's like all the core modules and understanding the basics of business and things like that. And then the marketing focus was the masters, because I actually found that marketing was very nice, very good. I enjoyed it. It was very creative.
So how does that roll out?
What do you mean?
So in terms of obviously you doing the marketing degree, you get on all right with it, I suppose.
Yeah. So I end up getting masters is different, and it's not like the same grading, but essentially I got a 2-1, so it's like a pass merit distinction, and it goes pass is like 40 to 60, 60 to 70 is a merit, and then 70 plus. So it's the same grading, but just like, so I basically got a higher degree, and I was happy. Then I got what I wanted, and it was at a higher level. I remember going to get my first job. After that, and at this point, by the way, I was working. So that degree, I had to work full time just to afford to pay it, because you have to pay your masters as you go.
10 grand in it.
Mine was like 7, I think.
Oh, okay.
And I had to pay it as I did it, and I had to do it monthly. I originally wanted to do it over 2 years, but they messed up and did me on 1 year course, and I was like, I reckon I can make this work. Yeah. So I had only budgeted to pay it over 2 years. I was paying double the amount each month. So basically, I now had no money to myself.
And you moved back into with your mum?
Yeah. So like for a full year straight, I worked full time at a bar as an assistant manager, and I was a restaurant bar, and I was using all the money to pay for the travel to and from uni and the course, and I had zero money, like zero left over, absolutely nothing.
That's such a lifestyle switch from what you were doing before.
For an entire year. Well, I was already used to living on nothing.
Yeah, you get no money being a rep, don't you?
Yeah.
No, but I mean, like, you're having so much fun, you're getting loads of money, you're spending it all, and then all of a sudden you're back in with your mum. All your money's going on the uni course.
Yeah, it's a sharp transition.
I said sacrifice before, because I realised that if I was to do a master's degree, I probably wouldn't get to work. If I was going to do this plan, start a business, I was going to start a travel business one day, I knew that I wouldn't be able to just travel abroad like I used to.
Did you have that thought when you were going into the masters that you were going to have a travel business?
If I do a master's, I knew that I was going to have a business. I wanted to start a travel business one day, but I didn't know what it was going to be in yet. I just knew I was going to start something. And then from that moment, I'd taken the masters, and that September, I had to cancel the job for the summer. I said, I'm not going to go away this summer. I knew that if I did that, I wouldn't get to go away abroad again for a long time. So it's me looking ahead going, right, I'm happy now doing this party and stuff. I want to change my life. I'm willing to sacrifice whatever it takes the next 5, 10, 15 years, in the hope that, because when you're 20, 24, 25, thinking 10 years when you're 35 and 15 when you're 40, like thinking to yourself, when I'm 40, I might be okay. That's a big decision, because it's a big part of your life. And I was just like, I'm willing to give it like what it's going to take.
Isn't it funny that the one person that you met changed your whole perspective?
Yeah.
That one person with a Maserati changed everything, and now you're all in for it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's not necessarily just one, but I mean,
But you know what I mean? But that's the thing that you remember, but that's probably the one thing that maybe stimulated it. And then,
and then meeting everyone.
Then everything else sort of rolled out from there.
And then the idea of uni came back into my life because we'll go uni.
That's what I mean.
And now you can do it. I've been kicked out of free college, so fucking go back.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh yeah, you got a point. Because back then, I guess up to that point, every time I failed, I went and did something else.
Yeah, rather than sticking at it. All it takes is, I say all it takes, but if you work hard at the same thing for 5 years, like, you will be successful in it. But you need to put the hours in, standard.
But I always saw it as if I failed at something, I went and did something else. And that's, a lot of people do that. You fail.
Pivot.
But to get good at anything, you're going to have to fail fuckloads.
Loads, mate. So
when I was like, oh yeah, it's a good point. I failed at 3 times education. I'll go back and go uni. Why couldn't I? It wasn't like, oh, it's not for me. I went, okay, I can go and do that.
Mate, what did your mum say when you got your degree, your master's?
The degree, she was just like, the foundation degree she was happy with. And then the degree, she was crying. And then I was like, I'm going to do masters. And she was like, what? Say what? And then she was like crying. I remember when I got that degree, she was proper crying.
So how old are you when you actually...
She's just like, I thought he was a fucking moron. Surprises me every day.
Cheers, Mum.
And somehow he's still a fucking moron.
He's a weirdo.
Yeah, like, so people like call me, they'd be like, he's an idiot, but he's not an idiot because he just fucks people's minds. They're like, it doesn't compute. Like, he's got a master's, but he's an idiot. Like, and I'm like, yeah, it doesn't mean clever. It just means that I can achieve something.
Yeah.
So that's when I started achieving things, and that's when I started going, you know what, nothing's gonna fucking stop me now.
Yeah, you got that momentum.
Yeah, I actually put a post out in 2016. I just got my first job, and I actually had to take a massive pay cut to get that, by the way.
What did you go for?
16 grand for a marketing job, and I was on 25 grand as a bar manager.
It's a bump.
Yeah, so like, but at this point I already sacrificed before, so I was like, I'll sacrifice again. And I'm used to living on no money because I sacrificed to go do a masters first. So it's like sacrifice. I was getting used to sacrifice and failure. Sacrifice.
Delayed gratification.
Yeah. And that's things that you don't, I think this is the start of like, oh, sacrifice, failure. And I was like, you know what, fuck everyone else. I'm not going to live like anyone else. I remember writing a post about it. I put it on my Instagram. If you go right back to the second post on my Instagram, it's a note, screenshot note from me saying, I'm not going to fucking do what you guys are doing. Like, no one knows I'm interested in business online. No one in my friendship group, they just see me as a guy who gets pissed. No one knows how I think. No one knows how I feel. And I've gone and said, fuck you guys. I'm not going to do what you're doing. I'm not going to work, retire. I'm not going to study, work, retire, die. I'm not just going to fall into line. I'm not going to be like you guys. I'm not going to do what you tell me to do. I'm not going to do things the way you say I should do things just because that's the way it's always been done. And that post exists. That post is from 2016, dated September. I think it was set in May, sorry. And I was just like, fuck everyone. I'm going to do this my way.
It's the only way you should do things, mate.
It's easy to say that, but then to publicly tell it.
It's true.
If you turn around to everyone you know and said, you know what, you guys are all doing this, I'm not going to do that. I don't want to do what you're doing because I know that if I do what you're doing, I'm going to get what you guys get, and I'm always going to have the same thing that we all have. Like, I want to do something different.
So did you have to cut people off then?
Yeah, and you face a lot of sort of criticism.
Yeah, people slag you off and that for it.
You sort of get that.
Who's
thinking it's what's wrong with us? Like, I'm not. Yeah, cut friends out.
I mean, I had it all the time. People like when I started the business and stuff, like people saying, "Oh, like you're arrogant. You think you're better than us." It's like, it's not that. It's just I want to do this.
Arrogant is a term that's thrown around a lot, and I mean, I've googled it many times. I'm like, I'm arrogant. Like,
mate, I've literally done that same thing. Like, I've had a conversation with my missus many a time. Like, am I arrogant or am I just confident?
There's such a fine line, isn't there?
Yeah. It's not a fine line. It's a fucking idiot who doesn't know what the definition is. The definition of arrogance is someone who thinks that they're better than someone else.
I'm definitely not arrogant.
Right? Exactly. And I know as soon as that's me, I go, I know I'm not arrogant. I might be low on empathy, and I might just like, if you fall down, I'll be like, dust your fucking self off, mate. I don't give a fuck. Stop
I'm
crying.
the exact same.
Yeah?
Just get on with it, mate.
Yeah, stop fucking crying about it and just get on with it. You failed, so what? Go and do it again. It's like empathy. I ain't got that.
I think I lack empathy as well. What about you, Cal? I think you've got a lot of empathy.
I've got a lot of empathy. Yeah, I'm very empathetic.
But that's where my business partner's really good because he's really good with that sort of stuff. He sees okay, I understand where you're coming from. I'm like, I don't understand where you're coming from. Why can't you just do this?
Do it
again.
Do you think society's now got softer?
I don't know. I've never really looked. See, the thing is, I never really looked for people to feel sorry for me or anything like that.
Yeah.
So I never been maybe it's I never really experienced empathy myself, or and I felt like I was no support sort of thing. So I never really noticed that side of society, and I think it's got soft in the sense that people are always kicking off about fucking anything. Yeah. But again, I think this goes with people not having an identity, and they identify as a troll, or they identify as someone who gets offended.
Everyone's got to have an identity nowadays.
I am the person that writes Facebook comments saying, I don't agree with what you do, and that's their identity, and that's their NPC name. Like, go for it. Like, if you really have nothing else going on in your life, you're going to complain about everything, right? It's just that simple. If you are complaining about everything, you listen to this, then it means that you need to fucking focus on what you want to do with your life, because you're clearly spending too much time worried about everything else. If you have time to look at everything else and go, I don't like that, well, you're obviously not spending enough time on what you like and what you should be doing. Yeah. Because it takes all your time and it takes all your energy. Like you have time to look at other people if you're doing what you want to do.
Yeah. I want to know, mate, what was it actually like cutting off all those friends? Because it must be such a big move. To be able
The
to do
first
that.
time I did it was really, really sad.
Yeah.
I actually remember being really sad. I remember going downstairs, like Christmas time, everyone's going out and partying. Now this time I still not got used to not going out. And
That's when you're in the marketing role.
Yeah. And I'd cut out my friends from school because they were still smoking weed, and I'm pretty sure some were still like hanging around the park smoking weed and stuff like that.
How old is that?
At like fucking 25. Like when I'm 16, fair
hell,
enough. Like, okay, we're gonna start fires, mate, and we'll make sausages in the woods and smoke weed. Like, I get it, but not when you're 25, right? And you still see kids like that hanging around with, like, you're hanging around on bikes and shit with like 14-year-olds looking up to them because they identify now as the cool kid, but it's not cool, is it? And
Same.
The point is, like, so I cut out that sort of group, and then I also cut out the group of people around me who were they were just happy and content. And that sounds like a weird one. Why would I do that? Well, because they would sit around and they would bitch and moan. I'm saying happy and content. I mean, they were content with their job. They were content with their house they just bought a mortgage on at 25. They were happy with the fact the girlfriend had just got pregnant at 25. And I'm going, I don't feel old. Why are we all doing family things right now? So I'm looking around going, this is a bit weird. And I sort of cut that group out because it sort of, to me, looked like it was the group that was settled and they were content in where they were. And when I say content, I mean content with where they were and weren't going to make any effort to make any changes. However, they would sit and fucking moan about everything. Like everything. They were complaining about it. Oh, my boss is a prick. Karen at work's a right knobhead. Oh, the price of fuel's gone up and every other fucking thing I just don't care about.
And you just want to be like, get on with it, mate.
As I said before, if you really, I understand people notice things, but like if you're willing to complain about everything, it means that you're probably not focusing on what you need to be doing. Because I haven't got time to look at it anymore. I don't care. I just don't get. Oh, price gone up. Sick. I'll pay £2 a fucking litre of fuel. It's gone back down. Sick. Oh, eggs are gone. No eggs. Toilet roll. I don't give a fuck. I whack my ass in a tree. I just don't care. I've got too much stuff going on to actually fucking get concerned about shit. And I know it's a silly way of looking at things, but like, yes, I had to cut that group out because it just didn't feel right.
Were you having like conscious thoughts about that as well?
I kept remembering the thing I said to you before, which is the fourth and fifth person. Like, and I was like, I'm sat in a pub in a town, which is shit, and they're drinking beer on a Thursday or Friday night every night, and I'm like, this is just a bit weird. Like, it's not like I don't want to be sat here in 10 years.
I actually think the pub is shit as well.
Yeah.
Like, honestly, I just don't enjoy it at all.
Pub is a great place for dreams to go and die.
Yeah, it's fair. Yeah,
it's true. People sit around and talk about the woulda, shoulda, couldas and the things that they're not happy about in life. And
play pool. Yeah. I'm just not a fan of pool either.
I'm shit at pool.
Cal, you're a fan
I know. What were you going to say? I'm a fan of pool.
I was going to say you're a fan of darts.
Mate, I'm so bad at darts. Pool and darts, I'm terrible at.
Well, I think for me that was tough, right? Yeah. So I remember that winter, everyone was going out and partying to the local clubs and stuff, but I wasn't getting invited anymore. So like I'd be like,
not getting a call up.
Yeah, I remember reaching out to like people I knew from like abroad. I've spoken to like 4 years. Like, do you want to go out tonight? And like, bit random. It's like there's a film where this guy rings around people he's met once and asks to be his best man. I can't remember what it's called. But it's like that. I literally had no friends, and I remember getting sad about it. And then after a while, I just started going gym. Started going on my own. I still had like friends. I started reaching out to speaking to, and I started making a new group of friends. More fun, more party focused. Few of them had their own businesses and stuff. They would go out and get hammered all the time, but they weren't just like sat doing things. They were also working their own businesses, and they were all going gym. They were all smashing it. So I was like, oh, that's quite a cool group to be part of. So I joined that group. I remember messaging the first time saying like, I know it's going to sound really weird, but like,
do you want to go out?
I see you guys out having fun all the time. Do you mind if I join your group?
Do you mind if I join your group?
That's a cold approach.
Isn't it?
Do you know what I mean? That's tough to ask a boy group that are like all on it to be like, oh, let's jump in.
There was but there was a loose connection with one of the girls that hung out with my friend from school. And they were like, well, we're going to a party tonight. It's our friend's birthday party. Do you want to come? And I was like, yeah. So I went to this party where I didn't know any of the boys, and it was at a house, and it was a small gathering, and it was fucking well awkward.
What's that?
Yeah, it was the weird. I hated it. I remember just being like, I don't fit in here.
Oh, man.
And these are all like gym lads. Back when Nando's was cool and snapbacks were on, and these fucking low cut vest top things were there.
Oh,
and they were all just like,
not Mike Thurston vibes.
I was just like, what is this Geordie Shore fucking party?
Yeah.
Oh, mate, those guys.
Yeah, but that was the thing.
Yeah.
Anyway, long story short, over time I got to know them and I became a friend. And weirdly, I ended up cutting that sort of group out like a couple of years ago. Not cutting them out, I just stopped going because they sort of carried on doing the partying thing. And they still drink a lot, and they still go out and hang out together and stuff. And they're really close friends. And I've known them for like 10 years now, obviously. And I would say they're some of my closest friends. But I stopped sort of hanging out with them because what sort of became more apparent as we got older is this sort of new thing just starts creeping in where it's all right to go out and get on it all the time. and drink loads of alcohol, and then cocaine starts making an appearance.
Charlie.
Yeah, that's become a normal thing, you know, and it's getting cool in it. Like, oh, we work in office, but on a weekend we all get bags in, and then it's like become a bit more normalised, and then all the friends and everyone starts doing. I don't know if it's a Manchester thing or not, but
No, it's not.
No, it's an everywhere thing.
for me, I'm looking at it going, is it really a good idea to be getting on it, staying awake for 2 days, and then being hungover for 4, and then just starting again on the next
No,
weekend?
it's the worst idea.
Yeah,
It is the worst idea.
But everyone's doing that, so therefore I realise again the same thing. I'm becoming the 5th out of 4, and it's not. But it's then this time it's not just the group. This time it's every fucking person I go out with. Like everyone I'm around just gets bags in. Every party I go to finishes at 10 a.m. the next day, and people are still up all day, just like, this song's mint, man. Should we go and get more drink in the shop? Like, we'll wait for it to open.
Oh, mate, that's horrible. Waking up, staying up and it's still bright.
And it's only now at like 30, like started going 30s, that I realised that that's not cool. And I think there's a new problem that appeared, was that actually that's people not being able to deal with the fact they're getting older. And they're trying
Clinging
to
on.
Yeah, correct. So
Clinging
they're
on.
trying to cling on to it.
Mate, we had it. We went raving and we were like 24,
yeah.
24, and we like just had this epiphany moment. We're like, we're literally the old kids.
Yeah, we
at
literally
the
went
rave.
raving and we got back
At
to your
24?
flat. Mate, yeah. No, I swear.
But like a local rave. Do you know what I mean? 'Cause,
Okay.
like, it's a bit different.
This is like a
compared
posh Bournemouth thing.
No. Because you go to IB. I'll go to IB for now. Do
In
you
one
know
of
what I
parents'
mean?
houses with a pool.
Fuck off.
No,
It was a local
mate.
rave.
It was more like the surrounding. We saw like your little brother there.
Yep.
Couple of other little brothers, and like we were just
Yeah.
like, we're fucking past it. We need to pack this in here.
I imagine it's quite common around here though. When you get a certain age, they all move towards London and they work in London, and then the young ones stay here.
I think there's like there is like a thing around here that's what everyone aspires to do.
Yeah.
A lot of
Lot-
people do it.
Everyone goes through that process, don't they, of going out partying, and then it's, I want to move to London, I want to move to the city.
I was just thinking when you said little brothers, because then you've been known as like all their brothers have moved to London to do work, and you two are still there, sort of thing.
Yeah, we just looked like the older kids at the party, basically,
Yeah.
and we just saw like a fair few people we saw younger, and we're like, we
And
need
you
to
got
chuck
that at
this in.
24. You started thinking that.
Yeah.
Had that.
But that's at a rave,
Yeah.
so it's a bit different to going to like clubbing.
I clearly don't know what a rave is.
No, it's like, yeah, it's a different environment. Do you know what I mean?
You say a rave, but I think that was the moment where we sort of switched off drinking. We're not massive drinkers.
Yes,
Go out
it's fair.
sometimes,
Yeah,
but I'd say 24, 25 was when we sort of.
obviously, I feel like you
slowed
said about
down.
it earlier as well with the gym and stuff.
Yeah.
Like it just ruins all progress.
That was me.
And I'm just like, it's just shit.
Pre-COVID, obviously the Apprentice and that, I was focused on work and I was going gym and stuff like that.
So let's pull back. Obviously, you get the marketing job.
Yeah.
How does that sort of roll out into the next role? And I said, where does it go from
I
there?
just worked my way up in marketing. I went way up, started working businesses, marketing man. I went to marketing assistants and marketing specialists.
What are you doing? Like PPC, SMM?
I was more or less the whole way through. I was more like strategy, plan, and coming up with ideas. I was an ideas guy. And
Content.
No, not necessarily content. Like I'd have an idea. Like what if we did this campaign and we ran PPC and SEO and I'd come up with the idea and pitch it and be like, and after a while, I remember getting pulled in as like, they almost sent me as a specialist. At one of my jobs, they were flying me around the world to all the different offices.
Still traveling.
Oh, no, yeah, I know, yeah. But it was a weird one, this, because what had happened was I was looking at the way they were selling products. And I said, well, what if, because I was doing marketing, like making sure the pictures were fine on the website and rah, rah, rah. I was like, what if we applied SEO principles to this? I was like, what happens when you go on a website? And this is looking at Argos's website, right? And the Argos had just got digital from the catalogue, so it was all quite shit still. And I was like, I said to my boss one day, I was like, well, people are going to use that website search bar very similar to how they use Google, right? Because they use Google, they're quite sort of programmed that way now. They'll just search the same way. So if we look at the search terms on Google, that's probably what they're going to be looking for inside the Argos search bar. So, and then Argos, the website, I was like, but their search function is not very smart. All that does is look for keywords and what people are searching and it matches it to the name. And I was like, we've got this thing here called pink hairdressing set 3-piece. Why don't we call it pink hairdryer, straightener, and hair curler? Yeah. And he went, you're a fucking genius. Because I was like, well, yeah, it makes sense, right? Because they're going to search for hair curler or hair dryer, or they're not going to search for pink hairdressing, but they might search for colour, so we'll keep the colour. And another thing I noticed was that the beginning of every single product was a code, and the code was what the manufacturer had, and that was a code in the catalogue. And I was like, but why does that need to be in the title? Because it takes up, there's only 34 characters in a title, and so we can only put so many words in there to match search terms. So like we knock the code out and put more search terms in there, and then our products are going to appear more, and people are more likely to buy them. And I was like, well, if they're going to do that, then how many pictures does it take for you to buy a product? What do you need to see? We've got one picture of all 3 products. What if we had individual product pictures? We showed them the button, the coil, the plug, anything that they might want to know. And then in the text, you got 5 bullet points. Why don't we pull out the highlights? And we're doing that anyway. We're pulling highlights and actually tell them why that's important. And all of a sudden, I came up with this very unique way of selling more products on any website, right? And it was like I just discovered fire. Every time we did it, and any website, that product, I mean, but bear in mind, this company that I was working for, they own Russell Hobbs, Remington, George Foreman. They were selling millions of these products. So like,
big boy accounts.
Let's take a kettle, for example. There was something called a quiet boil kettle. I know this is going to be boring to anyone, but something called a quiet boil kettle. And no point in any of the description did it explain to you why it was a quiet boil kettle or why that was important. So we rewrote it. I just as an example, it gives you an idea of how it boils quietly, what that means. It means that if you've got an apartment and you boil the kettle, you're not going to piss off your neighbours or your people that you're sharing a room with. If you get up at 6 a.m. for work, you don't have to wake everyone up in the house and make yourself a brew. You know, real features with real benefits, just common sales tactic, right? But this was new online. The search terms, silver. We realized people were searching for quiet boil, but the kettle didn't actually have quiet boiling. So it was like, okay, quiet boiling kettle. And long story short, every time I did this change, you would see a massive increase in sales. Massive. Add more pictures. Let's add a product video instead of having one picture. Let's have some great features. Let's add a minimum of 500 characters per. Now, here's something interesting as well. Every single manufacturer creates content when they make a product. So they make a kettle, and Russell Hobbs, and they'll give that to Argos, and they'll give them all the pictures that they have to. They give them one picture and one bit of content. Yeah. Now that one bit of content is the same product copy that's used on Argos, Boots, Tesco, Asda. Now, if you're a customer who now they don't give a shit who you buy it from because they're making more kettles. They're the supplier, the manufacturer. If you had a question about that fucking kettle, yeah, and you didn't know why it was a quiet bowl kettle, you could look on any website online and you would never get any more information. I was like, not only that, but SEO wise, none of them websites are going to rank because whoever has it first is the original. Everyone else is like duplicate content. So I was like, what if we just wrote different content for every company, like, and matched it to their customers? This is common sense as a marketing person. Who's the customer? What are they looking for? What's the problem? Features, benefits. Here's all the information you could possibly need. Now you can make a decision. That's all you need, right? As a customer, it's a godsend. Whether you want a lot of information, you've got it. If you want a little bit of information, you've got it. If you've got a small question, you can probably find the answer. If you've got to look at a little feature to make sure it's going to fit size-wise on your site, you'll see it. And then we're talking millions of pounds worth of increase in sales. Millions. Almost instantly. By just applying logic to what they were doing online. And when I did this, I was 25, and they had me on the phone to Australia, and Australia did it, and they report back with increased sales, and then they flew me to Poland, then they started speaking, and I was speaking to Sweden, and you know, I was all of a sudden I went very quickly from I was just this random guy in the office to I was golden boy, and I could do no wrong. Like as in I literally could fucking do whatever I wanted. I used to piss around. I used to eat people's lunch in the fridge on purpose and leave
So annoying.
And I rate that.
And I'd leave a note saying like try and catch me if you can. Like it was a game I was playing in the office. No one else thought it was a game. I thought it was hilarious.
I think that's class,
isn't it?
Yeah.
Like I remember there was a picture on my Facebook. I found it the other day. It was like someone had some Cokes, and they put them in a fridge with a note saying "Do not touch, please," because obviously I was pissing people off in the office. So I'd take one and put a note saying like, and I took a picture of it and put it in an email around the office like with a ransom note and stuff like. Do you know, just like
yeah.
I was obviously not doing work. I was just being silly, but I was having fun at work, and that's the first taste I had of having fun in the office and being really good at a job.
It makes a difference, doesn't it? How much of a difference is it when it's like decent energy in the
Massive
office and like
difference.
everyone's buzzing and you're having a good life?
Culture's like everything. Culture is literally everything.
Well, the thing is, the culture wasn't necessarily that. It wasn't the culture I think in the building and who I was working for. It was my boss. He knew that I was in a great job. If the his bosses said, "Why the fuck is Lewis sliding around the office and having a chair race?" And they'd be like, "Yeah, but mate, he just made us 10 more million on Boots, and they've ordered like X amount more kettles." And so like they're like, okay,
held so much leverage.
let him just ride around on the
let him do what he wants as long as he's performing. It doesn't
and
matter.
I'd come up with ideas, and instead of being like shot down because I was young, they were like, "That's a good idea." A new guy came in as a marketing director, and in one meeting, I knew he was bullshitting. I'd studied obviously, and I knew he was lying. I'd got a vibe that he'd blagged the job.
Energy's always transferred.
Well,
you can always like see if someone's blagging it. Do you know what I mean?
When he was talking as well, the stuff, and I go away and Google it, and I'd be like, "No, it was wrong." And then I was in a meeting, and he just did it again, and I just went, "Mate, stop fucking bullshitting."
Did you say that in the meeting?
I didn't swear. I was like, "Stop!" I just went, "Stop bullshitting." Right, so I didn't say fucking. I went, "Stop bullshitting," and then it was like a really awkward pause.
I bet he was looking at you.
Call out.
And
It's a
then
big call out, isn't
I
it?
was embarrassed, so I stormed out the room.
You stormed out the room.
Yeah, because everyone was looking at me like really like what the fuck, because it's like a serious work environment. And then they brought me in for like a disciplinary, and I explained why I had an outburst, and I said, "Look, I'm listening to this guy speak. Here's like 3 or 4 things that he said recently. There's the actual truth of what the actual thing is that he's talking about, and here's what he said. You can tell he doesn't know what he's talking about. He's been hired by someone that doesn't understand marketing. Not only that, but he's in charge of a team of people that are looking up to him to lead it, and he doesn't know what he's talking about." And I realized that it was someone that had blagged the job, and And no surprise, he very quickly disappeared, and I never saw him again. Because I think when they actually started to question his knowledge, he's obviously come clean and said, actually, no, I don't. And he got sacked. But it wasn't my intention to get someone sacked. My intention was to just not deal with people bullshitting and actually doing a good job. That's all I cared about, and then having fun. So anyway, long story short, that was my first taste of actually. I was like, why am I doing? Why has no one else thought of this?
So at that point, you're obviously performing so well. Are you thinking of starting up on yourself?
Yeah, actually. So I actually started thinking, well, why is no one else getting this? These are all marketing people. There's like 50 of us. No one else is thinking about
50? Big team then.
Yeah, like huge office. Different marketing teams, branding team, UK marketing, EU. And I was just thinking to myself, well, if this is one guy and I'm doing all these millions in sales, I was like, well, imagine if I did that same logic to everyone else. Like, so in my head, I start thinking, well, maybe I can go into people in their businesses and I can fix their marketing and make more money for them. If I can think differently about it than everyone else, then why don't I? And then I started down the route of like, maybe I should own a marketing agency. And I actually started vlogging at this time. If you go on my YouTube, you'll see videos of me talking. It's like, I think I want to start a marketing agency. Like, I'm going to go out and meet some guys there. I'm going to go and ask 10 people that have marketing companies what you need to do to start one.
So you start producing content at this point.
And then the content is me sat with some guy who's got a marketing agency. He's like, hi, this is whoever from Web3. I'm here to ask you, why the fuck do I start a business, sort of thing. And it was just content like that. And I was doing it myself, little shitty camcorder. And I'd go around and the pretense was, if I come and take a video of you and share that for your content, can I please have a meeting with you and meet you? And managing director was sitting down with me.
It's a nice intro, isn't it?
Well, yeah, I called it sending down the elevator. If you go back on you, and the reason I leave these things on there is because people call bullshit when you they're like, oh, it's a very romantic story. He met these guys and then he went to university and then he had this. No, it's real. There's really a post from me in 2016 saying I refuse to fucking live life like you. Read it. It's my heart at 24 years old pouring out. There's real emails from me emailing entrepreneurs. There's real videos of me sat after work at 7 p.m. knowing that doing a video, knowing I've got a meeting at 9 p.m. and everyone else has gone home for the day, but I know I'm trying to do something different. Like there's real evidence, journey and story content.
So were you doing this simultaneously at the marketing agency, or did you go all in and quit the marketing agency?
I was technically I was an in-house role, so I was working for a company at that time.
Okay.
And I was interviewing agency owners, but no, so I was doing that at the same time, and then. Off the back of all this sort of stuff, I started attending networking events with, I meet a guy and he runs an agency and he goes, well, hey, we're going to go to a networking event after this. And I was like, what's that? And he went, oh, we meet up and we talk to each other. I was like, this sounds sick. Like, and then I found my new obsession. Okay, go to networking events, ask them questions. And I'd be the last guy in the room and I would ask, and I had a little notebook. I remember it. I wrote in the front of it, from this notebook, I'm going to build my dreams and my business. Like, it's like, this is like manifesting shit, right?
Yeah, mate.
This is
standard.
but this is manifesting without reading manifestation books, like not understanding manifestation or understanding the energy and how energy affects us and what we're putting out there can come back. All that's, I didn't know that at the time. It was just, I wrote in this book, I'm going to start a business. For this little book, I'm going to start a business, build my dreams sort of thing. I found that fucking book and it was just like pure bollocks notes.
It's naivety, isn't it?
Yeah.
But it's like the best type of naivety.
It was
Do you know what I mean?
promises to myself. I wrote a post and put it out there publicly. I did a video saying I'm going to start a business. I went out and met people and I shared the content. I'm sharing the content to who? No one's watching it. I'm doing it because I'm just constantly putting out there, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. And that's when I look back at the story and I think, wow, that's quite scary, right? I was manifesting it before I even knew what manifesting it was. I was saying why would I post publicly on Instagram a picture of my notes saying I refuse to live, study, live, retire, work, die. Wrong way around, whatever. But like, why would I do that? Why would I do the video? Who was I talking to? And it's almost like I was just being told to do something. I was just doing it because I knew I had to do it, not because I thought it was right, not because I knew anyone was listening to it. I just had to do it. And I didn't know why. And I wasn't even documenting. So when I can look back when I'm older. Well, a couple of times I might have mentioned in the video, like actually one day I might look back on this sort of thing. So it did cross my mind, obviously. But for me, I watch it back and it's like, well, this is weird.
When you look back though, do you actually believe manifestation?
Oh, 1,000%.
Yeah, it's law of attraction.
I've fully manifested everything. And there's some like weird shit that happens.
Go on, hit us.
No, just like weird shit.
There must be like an example though, because I've had examples.
Right, so like I wanted to, but I always had this idea. Getting a Mustang is like, if you get a Mustang, then I hit a goal. That's one of my goals, right? And then the moment I got to a point where I could afford to buy a Mustang outright, I'd seen one. I'd been sort of nosing around, and I was like, nah, forget about it. Anyway, I'm driving down the road, and a van just swerves in front of me, yeah, and a registration plate, Route 66. I went.
That's weird.
That's quite weird.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then like it moves and I'm texting my mate going, nah, this is really weird. And then like Life is a Highway came on the radio. Life is a highway. And I was like, that's quite an American song. So there's two American things happen. And then further down the road, Mustang, vroom, past me. I was like, when was the last time I saw a Mustang?
It's weird when it happens.
Right? But it was all just one after the other. I was like, and I was at this point, I'm getting dead excited about energy and manifesting. Right? I ran my friend. I was like, "You're not gonna believe the shit that's going on today."
Get gassed by it.
I was like, a fucking car pulls in. It's got Route 66 on the reg. It's not even like I just noticed something I wouldn't notice. I mean, when have I ever seen that before?
I know, yeah.
And then a Mustang plows past me. Life is a highway on the radio, and I'm obviously because what I was doing is I was sort of daydreaming about Route 66 and driving a Mustang through America. And that's where all this, and then it all happens in like the space of a few minutes, right? And on one drive home, and then on the phone. She said something like, "Oh, you're not getting manifesting right." She's like, I get it. You things are happening, signs, but you're reading too much into it. She goes, if something really weird happened, yeah, so I can't remember. It said like something really weird, like a really obvious sign happens, and then my phone goes bing, right? I fucking shit you not. I've been looking at Mustangs on eBay, yeah. Notification from eBay. Have you seen this new Mustang? As she said, like, have you ever? You need a bigger sign than that. Like, you can't just go and buy a Mustang based on these like idiosyncrasies. And it's like, bing. I was like, oh, you're not gonna believe this. Like, you're not gonna believe this. And I've got a screenshot of that. I say a screenshot. So I sent it through. I was like, look at your phone. So I was the time on it. And I was like, that just came through now. It's like, are you thinking of buying a Mustang,
mate?
That could just be that good marketing and listening to me.
No. Yeah, mate, I believe you, mate. We had one with the podcast when we were in London, and then obviously, you know, we were walking out saying obviously like how it'd be like amazing to actually push this forward and actually like go for it. But then at the same time, we're a bit apprehensive.
Sure.
We see this massive sign on the wall. And it's just like, you need to go for your dreams. You need it. And it was like a podcast reference. I can't remember exactly what it was.
I think it was just because in the moment, it was like we both looked up and saw it.
I was like, that's weird, bro. I was like, we can't ignore that.
I think so. There's coincidences, and then there's like something will happen and you're like, what are the odds of that? Like, what are the odds? I was working out the odds of me seeing a Route 66 registration plate, then Life is a Highway coming on my next on the playlist, then a Mustang driving past me, and then me getting home and getting a message at the moment that someone said, wait for a bigger sign.
100%. And also there was more to that. Sure. I just can't remember it. It's off the top of my head. But
what are the odds? Like, and then and I took it as a sign I had to go and buy one. Even though
Did you buy it?
Yeah, I bought it. And I got rid of it immediately when Russia invaded Ukraine.
Oh, like, nice.
Can't afford to drive this anymore. Fuel's now like worth a wage. So the bottom line is that try and pay attention to those things, and manifesting is real, 1,000%. Like I've obviously manifested where I am at today, and every time I say I'm going to do something, it's because I say I'm going to do something and then I make it happen. But it's all power of mind. This is the crazy fucking thing about business. Every idea, everything you physically see in the real world, everything, fucking cars, tires, properties, businesses, even clothing, all that shit, anything that you see came from someone's mind.
Yeah, mind over everything.
Like every single thing.
Yeah, standard, mate.
People forget that the idea starts in your mind, and then it's up to you to create the vision in real life and make it, like, you have to make it real. You have to manifest it into life. And none of the shit that exists would happen without someone having that vision and activating that action in it. So it's not just a case of I've got this idea, it's action. Following the idea. I've got this idea, here's my action. And then action is the very important part of that.
Have you got a vision board?
I do, actually. Interestingly, it was on my phone. I've just changed it, though. I changed it because some guy made me a background. So I changed it from...
What's on your vision board?
It's got a Google alert for my name. It says, well, that was my thing now. A background someone made.
Nice.
It says, no guts, no story. But the background was a plane. I'll find it for you. It was a plane. You wanted a bit of flying, didn't you? A plane, a Mustang. It was an apartment, a rooftop apartment.
Penthouse suite.
Yeah, it was a penthouse suite. And what else was on there? Then there was a Ferrari.
Is that a motorbike?
I changed the Mustang.
You got a motorbike?
Oh yeah, I ride motorbikes as well. Anyway, I wanted this.
What's
Harley.
that on the bottom
Harley
right?
Davidson.
So that is me talking in front of thousands of students.
Is that, and you obviously made that before
nice.
that.
Right, so I've always said, this is an idea of manifestation. I've always said I'll consider myself successful when I can stand on a stage and I can constantly speak to thousands of students and help them. Right, that's all I care about. I don't care about money. I obviously want to be free to do what I want to do. I want to have a car and fly and stuff. But the point is, I will consider it successful when I spend my day speaking to thousands of students, and then I fucking manifested it too soon because next week I'm speaking to thousands of students, and I'm pissed off because that was my bar of success.
You need to redo the vision board, bro.
Well, I've obviously manifested it, which is really fucking weird. This year, I've been learning to fly. I did get the car, I've changed the car on this board. I still haven't got the apartment, but I will be speaking to thousands. It's always been very specific. It has to be thousands of students. Not just a room of students, thousands. I'm speaking to 5,000 students over the next 4 days.
Yeah, I rate it, mate. And it honestly,
how weird is that, though?
Mate, it doesn't.
How can you manifest that? And it came, but someone tagged me on Facebook on it.
It doesn't surprise me, mate. And I actually believe in the power of a vision board.
Yeah.
Like if you look at our vision board for the podcast, we've ticked off top corner.
Yeah.
And like, you know, I would say we could have done more.
Yeah, for sure.
And like that, having that is just like, is like milestones. So like, even though like it's a 5-year project, it's so easy to look at that now and be like, that's actually achievable.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
The thing is, with vision boards, like I said, it's not just like put it on a board, it'll happen. I mean, in this case, the one being very specific, thousands of students was a weird one that didn't plan on coming true. I didn't do anything. But then again, so action. Someone tagged me on a post. I saw they needed help with kids and doing something with kids and business. And I messaged the guy and said, hey, look, I don't know what you're doing, but I'm willing to get involved. It's helping kids.
You keep saying like action with it, but I genuinely believe that if you have a vision board and you look at it every day, it taps into the subconscious, and then you make actions which are in line with it subconsciously. So you don't even realize you're actually making forward steps towards it.
That's the idea. So that someone tagged me on Facebook. That's the look, right? So that's the manifesting bit. I didn't see it. Someone tagged the Hussel marketing page, and then I was like, "What the fuck's this?" No one tags me there. I saw it, and I was like, "Oh, you know what, mate? I try to help students all the time. Anytime there's students that I can talk to, I'll speak to them." So I messaged and said to him that thing, and he went, "Oh, mate, you'd be perfect." It's actually 4 days across Liverpool, thousands and thousands of students with the BBC, and I was like,
yeah, mate, you'll smash that as well.
But the point was, you're right. I made a subconscious decision. I was like, unconscious. I was just like, oh yeah, helping kids, and I know that's on my vision board because that's what I'm passionate about. So therefore, I made the effort to do the action, the contacts. But 100%. I wasn't messaging going, oh, this could lead to 1,000 students. Then it just randomly happened, and I'm pissed off now.
That's it though. It randomly happens.
That's the look.
But is it random?
But someone tagged me in the first place.
That's what I'm saying. Like,
so this is where business and look, there's a very fine line between. So there's always, you can be trying your hardest and you can be working your ass off and
forcing it.
Most people don't understand this. So I explain it in terms of relationships. Like one point in your life, if you've got a boyfriend, girlfriend, husband, wife, or whatever, or a they, them, or a toaster, whatever you're dating.
Toaster?
You can date toasters now. You can identify as a toaster. But the point is, if you're in a happy relationship or in a miserable relationship, whatever's going on, that person that's in your life, you didn't know them at one point, and you probably going about your fucking day. I don't know, doing posh boy shit at Tesco when you work there, or
posh,
shopping at M&S.
You've actually got it twisted.
I keep going
mate.
like rich boys and driving your dad's. What was it? What was that car?
I didn't actually have one, mate. Well, no.
What was the car?
Rolls Royce Cullinan. They are pretty fucking cool.
Mate.
I'm making out these two rich. I don't actually know. I'm just taking a piss. But the point is that you were doing something that was completely off par, and then one day, by pure coincidence, you bumped into them, and then your life was. I use the example of a linear line, right? Your life was going like this. You met someone. In my life, it was meeting those guys abroad, and it went, I'm a rep. I don't know the fuck I am anymore, like that. And the same with the relationship. You're meeting someone, and then your life goes a completely different path. And everyone's like, oh yeah, it's a bit of luck, right? If you're in the right place at the right time, then it happens. Now, in terms of business, it's no different. You know, I could have the best idea in the world, and then I could be struggling, and things could be all going wrong. And then one day, just in a bar, chatting to a guy, and he goes, I need marketing for my business. Like, this actually happened. So I went, some guy asked me to go to his event. I wasn't going to go because I'm not drinking, but I went, I'll come and support because I'm trying to help out, show my face and help people who are doing business stuff. And then first guy I started speaking to, I went, you look quite smart, mate, and got chatting to him, and he's like got a massive company. He's like, I need marketing actually. And I'm coming in this company and I saved my ass at the moment. I need a client on a retainer.
So you had just left the business and gone independent at this point?
No, that's an example of something that went
okay.
Recently. But the point is, like, the point of the story is your life's linear and you think you know where it's all going, and then sometimes that little bit of luck and that little bit of sporadic, or the manifesting something, that little thing that you didn't expect that comes into your life, sends your life on a completely different journey. And sometimes, and the best way to explain it to people is how you met your girlfriend, how you met your wife, how I met your mother.
Yeah, no, the thing, not my mum, but
it's a TV.
He's got it, not
my mum.
Not my mum.
There's a TV show.
He's taking that so seriously.
They know I'm eating my mum, bro.
It's a TV show. I forget you guys are like 12. Never mind. How I Met Your Mother's a popular show in America.
Yeah. No, but like, I get the analogy though, yeah, for sure. But obviously, just to pull back.
My mum.
I'm taking it personally, bro. Like, no chance.
Don't talk about my mum.
But just to pull back, obviously, on the story, you know, you go through this experience with obviously being able to like project businesses in terms of sales for independent products. Obviously, that spurs you on and gives you a bit of confidence. It's fair to say, from what you've been saying, like from pissing about in the office and everything.
Yeah.
How does that then lead to you running your own business?
I moved my way through the ranks, became marketing manager, and at this time I'm still asking people questions. I figured out this new life hack. I started, I called it constant interviewing. So if I got a job, immediately the next day I would start interviewing for the next level. So I got a marketing manage a job, and I started interviewing the head of marketing and bigger salaries, and I was constantly doing that. So I was learning on the front in terms of work, and in the evenings I'd be trying to network with these people. That was a thing now. Anyway, long story short, I met a lot of people who had their own businesses in agencies, and I realised that most places in-house didn't know what they were doing. Agency seemed like the way forward, and I was getting ready to go and start an agency. I started freelancing. I started doing free work for people. I'd reach out to a business and say, look, your website's dog shit. Do you want me to come and fix it for you? And I won't charge you anything. And as much as I was like a little pain in the ass, it was a no-brainer for them. Free work, sweet. And then they make more money, and they'd be like, that was pretty good actually, mate. I'll give you a reference. And then it sort of went like that. So it was a lot of free work, and I was working full-time, so it was not a problem. Then I started freelancing around my job as a marketing manager. Now I'd moved to somewhere else. And then the day I sort of went, to be honest, I went to an agency. I went to work at an agency as well. And that was when The Apprentice came out. So at that point, I'd got on The Apprentice, and then I was going to try and pitch a travel company. So actually, a marketing agent took a back seat for a moment.
So where does the idea of Apprentice come from there?
Yeah, because it's a pretty penultimate moment in your story, right, at that point.
Yeah, I mean, guess so. I mean, I just saw it advertised, and I was like, well, I'm freelancing. You know, I'm doing the work. I've got invoices to show that I've got a business mindset. I've studied business. I got a master's in business. I've always wanted to start a business. I was like, if it's not fucking meant for me, who's it meant for?
What's the process like, though, to get onto The Apprentice?
Long application form. Lots and lots of interview rounds, lots and lots of different tests and things like that. Different going to and from Manchester, and like I think it was like 4 or 5 rounds of interviews in person. When you get there, it could be like different staged interviews as well. So like it takes all day. The application form was massive, and then I just sort of kept getting through round after round after round. I was like, yeah, so much fucking going on here. Like I didn't actually consider I'd get on there in the first place. I remember the idea to apply came through an email, and I got an email saying The Apprentice is now casting, and I must have signed up for it years ago. And I was like, oh, I could fucking do that. Like, those guys are idiots. So I was just filling the form. And I forgot about that. And then I got an invite down. And I was like, oh, maybe there's something interesting here. So again, it's the sort of mentality I've had for the last few years. Like, start pulling the thread. Just pull the thread.
Just see what comes from it.
See what happens. 75,000 people applied my year, and 16 people were chosen.
Man, that's mad, isn't
I got
it?
better odds of winning a decent lottery fucking prize, right? So why would I get on there? But I just pull the thread, and just keep pulling it. And I keep saying yes to things, keep going with it. All right, cool. Every time an opportunity came up to showcase who I am as a person, well, put myself forward first every time. I mean, one of the very first day, I don't really talk about the application process because I want people to have a fair advantage. But the first one I'll talk about is like you walk into a room, and it used to be you stand on a number, and they go, right, you got 10 seconds. We're going to go for everyone. You got 10 seconds. And in those 10 seconds, you want to tell us why you want to be on this show. And that's it. That's all you had. 10 seconds.
Hold on. What would you say?
Yeah, what would you say? 10 seconds to it.
I'd have to try and portray that I just work harder than anybody.
Well, everyone's going to say that.
Yeah, I know, but
you're not going to get through then.
All right, fuck off.
No, what would you say, seriously?
That's what I say. That's the first thing that comes to my head.
What would you say?
I'm a killer.
Ooh.
Yeah, I would just go with that.
Mic drop.
I would say it was stern.
3 words.
Yeah.
You got 10 seconds.
Yeah, that's all I need.
You just stand there in silence for the next 7.
Yeah,
How weird would that be? I'm a killer. Just like a 7-second pause.
But he probably stands out. They probably remember.
Not for the right reasons. They're going to go,
What did you do?
He's a weirdo.
What did you do?
What did I do? I remember looking around the room, and I was like, okay, shit. They went, you're going to have 10 seconds. And then someone said, who wants to go first? I went, I literally went, I'll fucking go first. And I think I swore as well. So they probably was like, it's this dickhead. And I was like, and I literally went, look, I've got no idea what I'm going to say to you guys now. But the main reason I put my hand up, I said the main reason I want to put my hand up and go first is because I know that these are the knobheads next. I can't remember what I said really, but I was like, okay, I'm trying to remember what I said. Wait. It was like, right, I have no idea what I'm going to say now, but I do know that these guys next to me weren't going to put the hand up and step forward first, but I'm that sort of person. I throw myself in first, and that's just who I am.
It's a nice play.
Yeah, but I shit on everyone else. Because then they're immediately on the back foot like, oh yeah, we didn't put a hand up.
Fair play, mate. Fair play.
I think so. My tactic immediately was just backstab everyone.
Yeah. Bastard.
Shit on everyone.
I don't trust this guy anymore.
But I didn't realise that's what I was doing at the time. I just remember going like, I am the person I will always say yes, and I will always jump into things. I am the first person to step off the plane. Like, so, I'm not one about the airport. Like, if you're going to jump off a plane, I'll be the first one.
But I rate that mentality as well, because it gets you places
and
as well.
That's what made me different. So in my head, that was a normal thing to say because that is what makes me different. That's who I am. I'm the guy that goes first.
So obviously you get onto The Apprentice.
Yeah.
I'm sure you probably talked about it on a million podcasts. What does that feel like, getting on there and being on national TV?
So weird.
I bet it's weird, isn't it?
It's like watching TV but it's a theatre and everyone's in real life. Like, I was like the lights, because obviously the screen you see with Lord Sugar, Claude and Karen is the exact same thing you see when you sat on the boardroom looking at them. So I'm like,
This is weird.
It's just like watching a human puppet show, and I'm like, this is real life.
Yeah.
And I remember looking around and being like, fuck me, this is so strange. Because obviously everything's dark around you, there's lights on them. It's just so weird.
What are the people like that you're going on there with? Because, like, obviously, from like a viewer's perspective, when I watched it before in the past, like, it does seem like there's a lot of drama.
I guess there is. You're trying to compete, like, and you're trying to showcase how good you are and how much everyone else is messing up. So you're trying to keep track of what everyone else is messing up at so you can use it later against them.
Backstabbing still.
Not even that. Not even that, though, is it? It's just like, right, if it goes between, it's like me and you, mate. And you know they're like storing information about you. Like, right, you fucked that up. You spelled that wrong. I'm gonna get you.
Yeah.
And then like when you're in the boardroom, it's you two, and they come out. The producers are like, you need to go for him. I need to go for him. I need to get him out. Like,
Oh, are they gassing you to do it?
Like, mate, he's gonna go for you. And like, yeah, no.
Oh, really?
You gotta get him first.
That makes it so much better.
So you get hyped when they go like, I'm gonna fuck him up. They're gonna fuck him up. And you go in and you're like, rah! Like, yeah, they do it on purpose. Obviously, I realized just how easy I was to like
Get rolled up.
Yeah, they just played me like a fiddle. Like, just go and tell him that Ryan Martin called him a prick. I'm like, oh, I can't be calling me a prick, my first mate. But like, literally, it is entertainment and more. And I didn't know it was gonna be. I genuinely like, you know my story right now. No one really knows that story because I never really talk. Well, obviously I talk about it now, but no one knew that story at the time. They thought I was a guy who was arrogant, a guy who wanted to be famous and just didn't get on Love Island, right? I couldn't give a fuck about being a celebrity. That's not why I was there. In fact, I actually was completely unaware that you get followers from it. I didn't even look at any of the previous candidates' social medias. Plus, I wasn't really used to using Instagram back then. The point was, I was there because I wanted to start a business. Like, that was it. And to me, it was like a big escape room. Like, it was like doing an escape room every day, and it was fun. Like,
I bet it was fun, wasn't it?
Yeah, because that's my thing. I like to figure things out, and I like to argue, and I like to
and you're with other people
cause
that are
mayhem and come up with weird ideas.
and you have other people that are like similar, right? Not in a sense of like their personality traits, but they're all there for the same goal.
Yeah.
So like when you're all working towards it and stuff and trying to work stuff out or sell this or go for that, I can imagine it being quite fun.
Yeah. So what actually was your idea on the Apprentice?
Well, this is the thing. I went on there with a business plan from a marketing agency.
Oh, really?
Ah.
Yeah.
However, when I was in the interviews and I was in the second stage.
How long is it again? Like the Apprentice?
Oh, no. Yeah. So like I was in there for like 3 months.
3 months.
Well, what about like the interviews before I even got on the show? The guy says to me, all right, so you get onto the Apprentice. Lord Sugar's there. You're asking for 250 grand. What are you going to say to him? And I was like, well, I'm not going to ask him for this. He was like, what do you mean? I was like, well, this business plan's for a marketing agency. He was like, yeah. I was like, well, I don't need money to do that. I can do that now. I'm already doing it. He was like, I was like, asking for 250 grand for a travel company. And this is the first time I'd even mentioned travel at any point, right? And everyone's like, what the fuck is this guy on about? And I was like, no, I want to start a travel company. And he was like, you didn't say anything about that. I was like, no, I know, but if you give me 250 grand, that's what I do with it. And so they were like, you can see him looking at me like he's never watched The Apprentice. Like, I obviously didn't understand the premise of it. Was supposed to go on there with that. So that's when they were like, well, you can't go on there with a travel company because you've got a marketing agency business plan and you're doing freelance marketing work. So you want to start a marketing agency. I was like, no, if you give me 250 grand, I'll start a travel company. So they were like, oh, and I was like, I'll tell you what, you need a business plan. And then I think they liked me as a person. They said, listen, you can write a business plan. You've got 2 weeks. If you can do a business plan in 2 weeks, we'll consider it. And if it's worthy, then we'll give you a shot on the show. And I wrote a 75-page business plan within 2 weeks for for a travel company that I'd never worked in any kind of bookings part of. I just knew I had this idea in my head. And I had 2 weeks. So I worked, literally, this is what happened. I was going to work 9 till 5. And then I'd go home, I'd go gym and go home. And I'd work from like 7 until like 1 in the morning writing a business plan.
That's hefty.
Yeah, 2 weeks in of doing that. Like, obviously, I'd never written a business plan before. Everything was Googled. And like, I was like, how to write about what's in a business plan. If you ever try to do that, it's a fucking clusterfuck of information. They all say different things. Nothing helps. And there's all these templates from people that had never written a business plan. So I was pure confusion. So halfway through, I'm like really panicking. This isn't working out. I got to do financials. Don't understand it. Trying to use my degree books and nothing's helping. I ended up hiring a guy for 500 quid to write the financials. I had no 500 quid, so I had to pay him out my wage. Anyway, long story short, I managed to get it done. By the end of the 2 weeks, I was like bags in my eyes, tired all the time, falling asleep at work. Pulled it off, got it over, and then they were like, that's pretty impressive.
Power of a deadline, mate.
Literally.
Always make it work.
It must have been full of spelling mistakes. Well, I know it was because I read it again as I've redone it now when I'm older. I must have written everything and read everything once. I didn't go back and read anything. Like, imagine writing everything for the first time,
and
stopping,
then
starting.
proofing
over
it.
days. Yeah.
Must have been terrible.
It must have looked like a fucking Teletubby had written it. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, what year 3 fucking Jeremy Kyle style fucking writing is this?
So obviously, mate, you got quite far in The Apprentice.
Yeah.
Do you think you got that far because of your business acumen or your personality?
I think I got that far because I think I was passionate about business.
What is it? What is the actual process for The Apprentice? Do you like shut off from the outside world for that 12 weeks? So you have no idea what's going on outside, and during the days and that, you're just in the house.
Yeah, well, you're on a task.
Or in the evenings you're just at the house and that.
Yeah. In the evening, sometimes it's not as relaxed because you can't even talk, because if it's like a 2-day task, then you're not allowed to talk between. So groups are kept separate and stuff. And there's no entertainment, no TV, no radio, no magazines. No, it's really that fucking boring. You just
when you're in the house.
Sort of sat there just like.
Mate, did I read an article that you had a fling there?
Yeah,
what did I say about relationships? See what I mean? This is what I was saying before.
You want to swerve it, bro? Swerve it.
Of course I'm swerving it. It's like 4 years ago. Like, you want to talk about something you dated 4 years ago? It's just
all right. We'll swerve it.
It's also like if you're in a house like that with like boys and like girls and that, like something is going to crop up, and it'd be weird if it didn't.
I think I met Michaela and Harrison. They got married. In fact, 2 of them last year they were together, I think. But yeah, of course it is. But it's not necessarily because you're in the house. It's because you've met someone that you've never met before.
But you're also with each other all the time. So it's just touch point after touch point.
Yeah, you get to know them.
Exactly that.
I think it's very similar to like in resorts, like holiday romances. Because
exactly.
In a holiday, you're in the same hotel as someone. You see them every day around the pool, and you wouldn't otherwise have that. And you're in a fun environment that's different, so you can hang out and do different things. It's just like a very natural sort of organic thing, I think, to happen. Whereas if you're at home and like people office romances, probably quite similar, but not as intense, because you actually go home. They see each other in the office and go home, so it's a longer period of time. I don't think it's much different to that.
Yeah, and it's like also you're literally, how can I explain it? You're in like a different world.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? You're just in this own like environment. Like, of course, something's gonna like spring up from that. If you meet the right girl, that is.
Well, I think it's a little bit harder than that, because obviously you're working night. Like, it's just like doing work 9 till 9 every day. That's all it is. Well, later than that. Sometimes you got back. You was up at like 4 a.m. You didn't get back to like 1, 2 a.m. I felt sorry for the staff on that show, because the staff obviously went to bed after us and got up before us, and we were knackered. I imagine that they were really tired by then. Everyone was just like ratty as fuck. No one wanted to talk to anyone. It was a tough, really. I tell you what, if anyone's going to do it, if you want to do it because you want to be a celebrity, it's this. I had someone message me about this from this year's Apprentice, and they were like, "Oh, how can I maximize my publicity?" And so I was just messaged back. I've been dead straight, like, mate, if you want to be a celebrity, don't fucking message me. Like.
It's not
in a nasty way. Like, I'm sure you could be. I'm sure you could go and do every fucking reality show known to man, but I guarantee in 4 or 5 years, no one will give a fuck about you.
Yeah.
I'm more a long game. I'm thinking 10, 15 years. Where do I want to be?
Marathon.
Yeah. Like, the ones that, this is the thing, it's important for young kids to hear this. Like, if you're like looking at the short-term gratification, I've delayed gratifications. I was like in uni and like working abroad. I've not done all that shit to go, oh yeah, please put me on fucking Celebrity Big Brother. Like, all that is irrelevant. And you do get, thing is, if you do something like this, you get in the you get caught up in the hype. You start getting invited to these stupid openings of crisp packets and being around influencers that and they identify as an influencer. That's all they've got going for them. They've not got anything else going for them. Like, they're not achieving anything. They never have achieved. They might be because they're good looking, or maybe because now different with singers and like actors and stuff. Like, fair enough, they've got a skill. If you've got a skill and you're famous for it, amazing, go for it, because that means you're working on something. But if you're just someone who's got a large following just for the sake of it, no matter what you do in life, you will eventually become redundant.
Non-existent. Yeah. No one.
And I think that's where the scary bit comes from. They all try to go to every PR event. They try and go everywhere, and they'll all hype each other up and like each other's stuff, and trying to get a blue tick's the most important thing to them. And you get caught up in that shit because you're around that PR stuff. And I get when you're on TV, it's loads of fun. Enjoy the ride. I always say the same thing: enjoy the ride, but don't try and hold on to it.
So how does that pan out then? So obviously you get fired from The Apprentice, or what does he say? What does he say again? You're fired.
You fingered.
Obviously that happens. You come out the show. Like, what's like the aftermath?
I just laughing at that joke. I just
laughing his own joke.
I know, yeah. Like, if I don't laugh at my own
he
joke,
hasn't even listened to the question.
I actually haven't. How did you know that? Sorry, what was the question?
So, like, obviously, after you come out of The Apprentice, like, there's an aftermath.
Yes.
You've been tucked away. What's that like coming out of that?
So it's actually filmed in the summer and the winters when it's shown. So you actually have a long period.
Oh, okay.
So even weirder than you would expect. So you come out of The Apprentice, you've been locked away for 3 months. And I remember going, right, so I was going through the apprentice process, and I said to the guys, I'm almost on the, at this point, I didn't know it was supposed to be kept secret. So I'm like, I'm going through the apprentice, but I'm getting quite a few of these rounds. Like, I was like, no, watch
What's
this.
that, the boys?
At the gym, I was like, watch this, I'll go missing for like 3 months, and then you guys will wonder where I've been. And then, no fucking word of a lie, I go missing for 3 months, and I just turn back up at the gym a little bit fatter than what I was. And they're all just like, it was dead awkward the first day back. They were all just like, apprentice. And then like, Lewis, where you been, mate? I was like, and you were contracted, you had to lie.
Yeah.
The only person that could know where you were was your mum. Or like, it's one significant like person there. So I'm like, oh yeah, no, I was been. I'm such a bad lad. I was like, yeah, mate, just so busy with work.
Played the work card.
Why you're not looking well, because obviously I like shrunk and I just got like a little belly because I've been running around and like, oh, you don't look, you've been not going to gym. I'm like, oh no, I've just been feeling a bit ill. Like,
I've had a 3-month illness.
And you could see that, like, over the next few nights I'd be there and they were asking me questions, and you know full well every single one of them knew I was going to be on The Apprentice, and no one was going to ask me the question and they knew I was lying. So it looked even weird. And I got a funny story about this. One of the girls, the same thing with her. When you come out, you can't tell anyone where you've been until it comes out on TV. You can't say anything about it. When she was away, she'd only told her husband, because that was her significant person. However, her family came around to her house, and they were like, I can't say who it is, but like his ex in the house, and her boyfriend is obviously lying. I know she's out at work, whatever. Every time they come round to see her, he's making up a new lie. And obviously at a certain point, they know he's lying. So it obviously looks like he's murdered his wife, right? Doesn't it? He's obviously lying. Yeah. So they end up ringing the police to do a wellness check, and then he's still been contracted, like not to say where she is, and she's in the show, and she's got no access to the phone or anything, and then like he's having, but he eventually has to confess them, and then the police obviously promise to keep it a secret, and then they tell their parents. So that even the parents, like the police spoke to parents and were like, yeah, no, she's fine, but we can't tell you why.
Imagine being a parent. Like, what do you mean?
But
kidnapped her.
I thought the story was hilarious, because I was just thinking, imagine the parents like responses after like they can see he's lying. Like, and it's like the fifth time they've tried. Oh no, she's feeding camels. Like, do you know what I mean? Like,
how many lies?
Like walking a hamster. Like, yeah, and he's obviously going to be like, in his head, he'll be scrambling for an answer every time. And you know for a fact, they started showing up to places like work, going, "Have you seen her? Have you seen her? Have you seen her at this place?" And they know they're not finding her. So they definitely fought. Like, so I just thought it was a funny story. Yeah. Mine was a bit less than that. Mine was just like people whispering, and then it comes out, and then it's weird.
Why?
Because for 3 months I've forgotten about it. 4 months even between filming, or 3 months, I can't remember. It was like summer, August, September, something like that. It came out in December, January, I can't remember anymore.
And you've gone back to like freelance marketing?
Oh yeah, I was back. I went back to an agency, and I was freelancing on the side. So I still hadn't gone full time.
Just hadn't told anyone because you weren't allowed?
No. Went back to the gym, and then obviously it drops. And then it just happens overnight. It was fucking well weird, because it's weird for every single person that knows you. And then there's like the crew wants to come and film around your office, and they want to film the staff there, and then I think everyone sort of around you sort of gets a bit disrupted. Like, come around to my family house, my mum was kicking off like, they've all got the fucking shoes in the house. I'm like, Mum, when are you ever gonna have a film crew around here asking about me as a child, unless I've literally killed someone? Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Like, just enjoying a moment. She's like, right, but I fucking hate it. Like, my school teachers, and they were at my school, my old school, and like the teacher that like had a mental breakdown and hated me and started crying and kicked me out of form, and she's like, yeah, no, he was all right. I quite liked teaching. I'm like, you bitch.
So your life drastically changed. Yeah,
it's very weird. It's a really surreal experience, because, like I said, having a film crew interested in who you are, what you do, why you do it, your family, your friends, what made you get to where you are, and all that sort of stuff. And then everyone that's known me as the guy that just drinks. If you hadn't been around me for the last 4 or 5 years, you would still think of me as the rep that you met, right? And people go, "Oh, I hope you're not still the same guy." No, I'm not still the same guy you met in school. Someone wrote that, like, "Oh, in school he was a right prick. I hope he's changed." I was like, "What? Since I was 16?" Of course I fucking changed, you idiot. Like, but people just remember as that person, like,
for sure, because that's the only recollection they've got of you. How do you deal with it? Do your ego get a bit inflated?
No. I was just like, I just found it all surreal and weird. I enjoyed getting involved in things that I never had access to. Like, do you know what? The bits that I really enjoyed the most is going and doing the talks and stuff like that at school. That's why it was on my vision board, because I felt like the most powerful thing was sharing a story and people being and then the kids being inspired by it. Like, you do you talk at a school, and then you get messages on Instagram from kids going, "Look, I didn't say anything there because I wasn't confident enough to speak to you, but I want to just say that, you know, I've got the exact same background as you, and I want to just say that you've made me think I can go and do something.
Yeah, that's amazing.
I thought it was important, and I just share these. People didn't believe me. Some of them left me LinkedIn reviews and shit like that, and that to me was the most powerful thing. Like that, and that's when I decided, like, okay, from now on, everything I do in business, I'm going to make sure I'm always trying to help other people.
Yeah,
which is why it's on my vision board today. So that's really, it's not ego. It wasn't like, look at me, I'm a businessman, because I hadn't made it. And I made my actual slideshow. If you look on Instagram, you'll see one of the shots of me doing a school talk. The literal slide says, "What the fuck am I doing?" And it says, like, it says one man, a plan, no idea. Like, no, it's like, something like no plan, one man, something like that. That was the theme of the talk. And it was to talk about the fact you don't need to know what you're doing. You don't need to have money, and you can just start, and you can just do it. And you don't need to help. You don't need to ask for permission to do that. And it sounded silly, but the fact that I could share that message and someone listen, because why else would they listen? Unless I make millions of pounds or it's been on The Apprentice, like, why would they listen? About Love Island, it's not, my opinion is dog shit. It doesn't make a difference, like, because I'm not achieving anything. But The Apprentice is seen as achieving something.
Yeah, because you're learning and stuff. Yeah, I rate that. But what about on the flip side? So that's like the good side of like the press and, you know, being like a minor celebrity or whatever. On the flip side, like there must have been like hate. There must have been other things that came through. What's it like having a bit of clout?
I would say in terms
on
of like,
that level, because it's like a national level, isn't it?
In terms of hate and stuff, like, I was already used to it a little bit. People saying arrogant, that's quite a common one. Or arrogant, it's like, you're just a fucking unedgy. Just read the dictionary, man. Like, that's all I ask. Stuff like that's quite common. And then like cocky, but the thing is, at the time, I'm like, I don't really care. I don't care. But I used to say I don't care what people think, and then I'd like bite a little bit. I'd be like, I'm not arrogant. Like, arrogant means this, you stupid prick. And I'd like share a screenshot. I'm like, why am I giving time of day to this fucking idiot? There was one, I think it was like someone called Anne, and she was like, I've seen better looking guys at Asda. I wouldn't even shag him. And I'd look at her profile. And Anne's got she's like dead. Missing. She's got like missing teeth. And I'm like, come on, Anne, not even a tooth job. Like, he's pissed me off. And so I was like, I don't care what people think, but I did still get affected by stuff like that, because I think people are stupid, right? They forget that real people exist. And nowadays, it's been like 4 years, and now it's really weird. At the time, you got to handle it however you can, but now it's just really weird, because I've been on a few different things. I've had national exposure constantly, and different things that are my own stuff now as well. And it's like, you just get used to it. My biggest pet hate still today is people thinking I'm trying to be a celebrity. But that's a lack of education on their part. It's just lack of understanding and being able to see what I'm actually doing. Did you get a lot of girls in DMs? Yeah. And guys, may I add.
No.
I got more dick pics than vagina pics, but I also got vagina pics, so I'm not complaining. If I get 10 dick pics every vagina pic, I'll take a vagina pic.
Yeah, obviously.
I'll wade my way through the dick pics.
Oh, mate.
I didn't know it was a thing.
What?
I didn't know it was a thing.
Just like random men sending you cock pictures from like all over the country.
What
was there no warm
I thought you
up?
said big cock pictures. Like,
No.
Random men. I got to sign up for this.
Was there no like, warm up to it? Like, you all right, mate? How's it going?
No, he's literally like that. And weirdly though, like, I'm not going to dig anyone out here because I feel tight. I just sort of go, well, that's nice. No, not to the guys.
That's nice.
You did it to the blokes as well.
No, just like, all right, okay. Well, not only if like like it's not when you see the message come in and you see the picture, you don't open it, right?
Yeah.
But it's when they send a picture and it's the blue thing, and like you
must want to open
curiosity kills a cat. Yeah,
that's what I'm saying.
Do you know what I mean? I'm like, surely it can't be. Surely not another. You press it and it's just like someone doing some weird squatting angle over the camera. And you're like, this, and you're almost impressed.
Too much. It's too
You're almost
much.
impressed, like, genius.
That's a good effort.
Genius.
That's actually class.
So, yeah, but that, you're right. It's the blue. You look at it and it's sort of like, I know it's going to be a dick pic. But it might not be.
You can't help but open it, can you?
It could be a puppy. It's never been a puppy.
It's so funny. Oh, mate, that's actually hilarious.
So the weird thing is, luckily that died down. It did happen a lot. It really did. I think it attracts The Apprentice. Interesting in terms of the DMs thing. It attracts people who have fetishes about dominance as well.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So you get like guys saying, "Please," quite common. Would you punch me in the face? Money. And I'm like,
is that tempting?
How much?
No. I actually got one of these recently. Would you punch me in the face? Money. I'm like, to be fair, mate, I actually would. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I probably would, to be fair, mate.
But I just haven't got the time to make this my full-time gig. So no, I'm going to say
that's a good bit of content, mate.
What is it? Just punch people.
Just go and punch that guy in the face and film it.
It's just a weird. And then like there's all the sort of like, will you stand on me fetishes. A lot of the girls got them. because they're dominant women and the men want to be like stood on by dominant women. And then I get a lot of the girls saying daddy. Weirdly, one of those happened recently. It was like I sent it to you. It's like a really weird message about how it's almost like they're writing a novel in their head. Like, I'd like you to.
It's weird that people take the time to do that.
I want to call you daddy, and then I was like, no, that was a girl. And I went, that's nice. And then she was like, that was not the response I was expecting. I was like, well, just because you decide something doesn't mean that I'm gonna. But I think girls aren't used to the
rejection.
Yeah, so they really. I think that I've got a theory about this. It's probably gonna piss girls off. But I've got a theory that because girls don't have to hit on boys often, that when they do, they're shit at it.
Yeah.
And they're awful at it.
Yeah.
And it's always really weird. And then they really can't stand if you're not interested. But I think that's like, because when we're at school, the boys always hit on the girls, and we get used to the failure and rejection, the humiliation that, girls are. But have you ever seen a girl trying to hit on a boy?
I definitely think because of dating apps as well.
Oh, yeah, because girls don't.
It's made it significantly worse.
Have you ever seen a girl trying to hit on a boy?
Yeah.
It's always just something like dead weird, like they'll walk and someone's like, look in their face.
Linger around you.
Or they do the thing where they try and catch their eye contact as a group of girls and all going. And as a guy, you're there going, I've got something on my fucking face.
I know, yeah.
Not that I ever have been hit on by a girl ever. It's just usually husky men. I don't know what I've got about me that says I just love a big guy. Well, here we are.
A bear.
Yeah, it's just these hairy men. Do you know what? It's quite funny. I bring it on myself. I've just put a post out on LinkedIn going, I'm looking for 50 hairy men.
Oh, that's class.
I need to shave you, but I swear it's not a fetish. And I need it for an advertising campaign. So I probably do it to myself, to be honest.
Oh, mate, imagine all 50 of the blokes
Can't be out here.
from the DMs.
Can't be out here asking 50 men to shave on camera and then complain when I get them.
Yeah, mate, that's hilarious. But obviously after that, you go back into work, freelance. How does things sort of spiral from there?
Freelance, and then I lost my job because of COVID.
Right.
Yeah. So the last thing that happened was I was on The Apprentice, came off, and I was working my way up, and then I got offered a director job, a new company. 3 months with those guys, they went bust. So obviously, following The Apprentice, I got a good job offer because my experience has been highlighted and my history is solid.
Oh, it came from The Apprentice. Someone outbound reached to you.
Yeah, someone reached out. I've seen you on The Apprentice. I like your style. I like who you are as a person. I've seen your history. I want to get you involved. Did that for 3 months, and it went bust. And then I was like, without a job, no one was hiring, and I had no other way to survive. That's bottom line. So when all said and done, the only thing that made me start a business was the fact that there was I had no plan B. There was no more plan B. There was no more talking about it anymore.
Yeah.
What about OnlyFans?
Oh, yeah. I started that as well.
You did,
Do you know what? I did that because I had all these men asking me to.
Did you actually start OnlyFans?
I was like, I'll post a picture of me topless in the shower. I don't give a fuck. But I had no money. COVID.
Is that so? You just started that? Just
yeah, it was more like a novelty thing.
Was it like banter?
Basically, yeah. So
Yeah.
it all started as a joke, right? So
yeah, obviously.
okay, backtrack a little bit. There was a campaign my friend was doing, a marketing campaign, and they said, Lewis, we need a face of the campaign. Will you pretend you're a sex toy tester? And we're going to do a fake job, and they're going to be 50 grand a year for a sex toy tester, and then the press will do a story about it, and that's exactly what happened. So I was the face of it, and then that was like a sex toy, so therefore it attracted way more of the stupid messages like, I've got OnlyFans, rah rah rah, and that job, I don't know if it was ever a real job, but like everyone assumed that I was a sex toy tester, and boy sex toys got backsides, so everyone assumed that I was gay. So then I attracted loads of people saying, oh, have you got OnlyFans if you use sex toys, and rah rah rah. So that's how the conversation started. And then I was at a party, and the actual decision to do it was whilst we were hammered in the kitchen, and it was a bet, and we were playing beer pong, and there was the sort of thing was, all right, whoever loses has to do something. I can't remember the other guy I was playing what I'd bet him to do, but he was like, all right, if you do, you got to set up an OnlyFans account. Because we were talking about the fact that I'd done the sex toy campaign, and I had all these people asking me for OnlyFans, and it was like an ongoing joke in the room. And yeah, I lost, and I set up an OnlyFans.
How much money did you make from it?
A lot. In a very short space of time.
5 figures?
Yeah, thousands. Thousands.
Was it not tempting to just do that?
No. Yeah.
Absolutely.
But I have no interest in that. Like, and to be honest, I'm not going. People laugh about OnlyFans like you did then when you said it, but I actually don't give a fuck. Like,
No, yeah, I rate it as well.
I will take any revenue stream that I can get.
I think I was only laughing because it's just a bit of a curveball. Like
Yeah,
you're
you
going
didn't
to
expect
a marketing
You do your
agency and then
Well, the thing is, like, I did it as more like it was a bit of a joke, and I never was going to take it seriously. And then I don't give a fuck. Like, I'll post topless pictures on Instagram and shit like that. So it didn't bother me. It was just the same thing as that. But I've got mates that are like proper into the sex world, and that's their thing. They make loads of money doing that, and fair play, and they make big, and they make big money.
Each to their own, mate.
Yeah,
if you can make like dough from it, and you can create like a decent revenue stream from it, then you should, you know.
Yeah.
there's
I don't actually have
hats
it
off to
anymore,
them.
by the way. I only did it because of the COVID. They had no money. There's no way of making money. No one was hiring, and I had no way to survive. Like, as in, I couldn't pay my bills. I couldn't eat, so I couldn't put money in the car to even go to find the client. So
Isn't that like a weird transition from like being on The Apprentice, having
Yeah.
like all this PR and like being able to go to these like fancy parties with all like
when
these influencer people.
When COVID hit, if you lost your job, most people got a fucking little furlough
furlough
package.
check.
Yeah.
So why would they? So this is my thing as well. Like, I couldn't give a shit who you are as a person. Like, if you're gonna stand between me and survival, I'm gonna survive,
Yeah.
and I'll do whatever the fuck I need to do to survive. I'm not saying I'm gonna murder like people, but what I am saying is that like I couldn't give a shit what people think about me. If it meant I couldn't survive, I was gonna do whatever it takes.
Yeah.
And in that case, it wasn't actually a conscious decision. It was more like a bit of a bet. And then I was like, actually, no, I'm going to keep going. I'm going to roll with this because the press did a story on it. And then it got loads of fans
Yeah.
into it. I had like 400 people paying $20 a month just to see the same shit they would see on Instagram. It's not like I was shagging on there and getting my dick out and doing fucking curly whirly twirlies.
It was just topless selfies and
I
stuff
don't know
like
if I don't know if it's curly whirly twirly is a real sex move, but it should be. So you get what I mean? Like, so I didn't see it as a bad thing. I just thought, why not?
Yeah.
And it was just a way to make money. And to be honest, I think that's why I deleted it. I sort of felt bad because people were signing up to it thinking, oh, he's going to be like a porn star now. And
Doing
I'm like,
all sorts.
But I'm not. And I have no interest in that.
Yeah.
So I just sort of used it to survive, and then I closed it down and I got bored.
Yeah, that makes sense. So obviously, just to pull back onto the business element, at that point you're in a tough position because, you know, ultimately you need to source customers.
Mm-hmm.
It's COVID. How do you take
it's not even I need source customers. I need to get some form of income.
Yeah.
Like, so I didn't even know how to start a company. I just had to start figuring it out. So that's what I did. I just started figuring it out.
So go on, talk us through that then.
I think I started posting about how I've just lost my job and I was going to struggle and I couldn't afford to pay the bills and I was going to go full on myself, who needed to hire me, that sort of stuff. I started using LinkedIn messaging, people talking about it. I started reaching out to companies, anything. I was doing anything and everything to find a client. I found the first one just before the bills were due. I was talking like a day before. I would have gone like balance debt and I would have
Deadline again, right?
Yeah. Like the day before they came in. They're still with me now, actually, 3 years later. But that was it. First one in, second one, third one. I would take any work there was.
Oh, so you were doing everything, all forms of media.
And if you had any money, any budget, I would do something for you. Now it's not like that. Now it's obviously a bit different. Now it's like we work with only certain clients at a certain level. We still do now we focus more on the crazier campaigns as well.
Yeah.
And then with the launch of Hiddn, I'm actually moving slightly away from focusing all my attention on Hussel. So I'm different. I'm diversifying between.
So let's talk about Hussel and how it rolls out. So obviously, you know, you take anything and everything at that point because obviously it's COVID, crisis point, and you need to get the revenue in. But how does the business evolve? And how do you start, like, you know, growing it and also like developing the actual product that you offer to those customers?
Well, I've worked in marketing for a long time. I always knew that I'm a disruptive person. I'm unique. So at first I was building any website, doing any social media account, and I'm just doing it well. You know, like, you could take a company and do good job. I've been doing it freelancing for a few years anyway, right? I've worked in marketing for 7 years at this point. So it's not like I was doing a shit job for them and I was doing it cheap. So anyone that with any brain would have hired me at that point because I just needed cash. And then over the time, what happens when you do that is very quickly you become overwhelmed with work and you haven't got a massive budget to hire people to do the work anymore. So I couldn't carry on that way. So it's not a scalable model. It was a good way to get quick cash in, but it was not scalable. So I had to reevaluate and go, well, I need to start doing bigger jobs. I can't do bigger jobs unless I actually have real value in what I'm offering. Like, I have to really give them something unique. What's my business going to stand for? And I was like, okay, Hussel. Well, I made up the word, so I'm going to copyright the word, and it's going to mean an ethos around throwing balls to the wall, stamping on what everyone tells us to do, going against the grain. That's what Hussel's going to mean. That's my ethos. I'm going to stand for that. So how is that going to be exemplified in my marketing? Well, I can't fucking do the same old shit as everyone else. I can build your website, but my website is going to be shit hot. It's going to be unique and creative. I'll do your campaign, but my campaign is going to be the weirdest, most unorthodox marketing campaign. I do marketing campaigns that people look at and go, what the fuck was that?
Tell us some of them.
Yeah, there must be like a campaign that is like notable for yourself where you were like...
Well, you said the AirPods one. That was a campaign.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fake Elton, that was a fucking hilarious one.
Did I see that you got a brand tattooed on you?
Oh, yeah.
You
tell us
also
about
got Alan Sugar tattooed, didn't you?
Oh, yeah, he's there as well.
Yeah.
These ideas are all me. So this is why it becomes part of the marketing.
Tell us about the brand being tattooed on you.
So we auctioned off my ass cheek. for charity.
I didn't even know that.
Yeah, it's bad. If you was a brand that paid for that, more fool you, because it's not a great spot.
How much did you raise charity though?
Only like 750 quid, but that wasn't
Still
the point.
though.
It was just a bit of something for Christmas, and that was recent, yeah. But that client, that's become now a client that we're doing an advert for, a proper advert. So actually, it helps the business. It did its job, and like, yeah, that sort of stuff. We did my very first campaign, my very first one, that was sort of going, right, I'm unique. Everyone pay attention. This is what we're going to be. I put myself naked on a billboard.
Mate, that is fucking bold. That is hefty, mate.
I tell you what, you do not know.
The nerves you must have felt before that.
Well, no, but to be fair, like, I was like, because the conversation went like this to our clients. We're a disruptive marketing agency, right? And they go, what does that mean? I'm like, well, it means being noisy, being unique, really stand. They go, but all marketers should be like that. I was like, correct. It should be. Why is it all shit? And it's because everyone does the same tired bollocks, because nobody running those companies is actually unique and creative and disruptive. They just say they are. So as a result, I was like, well, if we do good marketing, we're not going to do the same marketing. Just because they say that's good doesn't mean that's the way it should be. Anyway, long story short, I used to say, but you don't have to get naked on a billboard to be disruptive. That was what I'd say. And I put the phone down and I was like, but I wonder if you can.
Oh,
do you know what I mean? And then that's when the cogs start turning in your head. You're like, pick up the phone, Google, billboards, Manchester, hello. This is going to sound like a really weird question. Like, what are the rules on me putting my dick on a billboard?
I was going to say, like, how are you allowed to do that?
And the guy was laughing, and he's like, connects me on LinkedIn. We have a chat. Obviously, that was the first sort of interaction, just chatting a bit. And the sort of general consensus was, well, there's no rules. I was like, but there has to.
Why would there be rules? No one would have thought of it before.
It's small. The thing is, I think they're right. There are like ethical rules, like advertising standards. Like I'd probably have them complain. If someone made a complaint, it get pulled down. But in terms of the billboard provider, they were just like, we don't care. So I was like, so I could just go naked. So anyway, the long story short was I chose to do a Burt Reynolds pose. I'm going to show you the picture. I'm finding it while I'm talking to. You guys won't know this, but I came across this. Burt Reynolds was the sexiest man in the world in like 1970. Burt Reynolds is an old actor. Like, I don't know. I taught you like you're 5. Do you know who he is?
No, I don't. To be fair,
no
you
idea.
wouldn't. He's like an old school like action hero guy. Anyway, there was like a Cosmo centerfold, and it stuck in my head because I remember this like really weird campaign I once saw, and this guy's he's like a really hairy guy, posed like this. He's got a cigarette in his hand. It's just a horrendous shot. He's got a cigarette in his hand, and I was like, okay, well, that would be quite funny. And my target demographic are slightly older. They'll remember that. So I was like, that'd be quite a good thing to do. So, yeah, the funniest part about it was actually persuading the photographer to do the shoot in the first place. I was like, okay. So I'm like, I had the idea, I need to action it, right? So I need a photographer. I need a photographer who's willing to like take a picture of me and then Photoshop body hair onto me as well, and do it all whilst I'm naked. So it was a conversation around the weird shout out, but I need a photographer. And then it sort of went down the road of someone went, I'll do it. And I was like, okay. And then that was an even more awkward experience because on the day I was there were some older women in the studio, and I had to.
Oh, it's even worse, mate.
I swear they did it on purpose. And I was like,
set up.
And at the time, I was a little chubby, right? We actually covered the penis, as you can see, with a logo. And it was a comment that someone said to me on the phone, like all marketing agents are the same. And I was like, you want to bet? And that's kind of what solidified it for me. And then I put that on there. And we photoshopped the chest hair, photoshopped abs on there, photoshopped like a little mustache. It turns out, with a quality camera and a blown-up billboard, you can see every pube. Like, I'm not even joking. You can see shaving rash. And because obviously the photographer wasn't going to edit it out. I didn't think to edit it out. So you just got these little shaving rash bumps on a billboard.
Oh,
it was just so grim on every level.
So good. But it's bad.
My mum said she was driving through Manchester and she was just like,
for fuck's sake. There he is again.
Imagine your son he's just doing weird shit. He's in the press for this.
He's just doing weird shit again.
He's on The Apprentice, and then he's just driving through Manchester, and you go like that and go,
oh, for fuck's sake.
Yeah, she rings me, she's like, what have you done? People are gonna, I remember she said something like, people are going to think you're really weird for this. Like, you can't put yourself naked on a billboard. Like, but what if people have kids and they're going to do like this? I'm like, it's kind of too late. Like, I get
it's already on there.
No, do you know what I mean?
It's kind of too late.
I get the concern if we're thinking about it, but I mean, if you've just seen it, it's probably too late now.
It is, yeah.
I can't go and pull it down, and you can't. You got to just leave it there for 2 weeks. That was quite a funny moment, and then obviously the benefit wasn't really the billboard. The benefit was just put it on there, LinkedIn, and show people. And that was the first idea. And then I thought that got a great response, or albeit a mixed response on LinkedIn. Like people are really confused, but the main thing
Exposure.
it said that I'm a marketing person and I do it very differently. That's what it said, underlying message. And I said from that moment forward, I'm going to keep doing campaigns like that, and that's going to showcase how unique we think and why people should work with us. And it's been that ever since.
Naked though, on a billboard.
Yeah, mate, it's bold.
That
You
is
saw the AirPods?
extremely bold.
Yeah, I rate it, mate. I rate it.
AirPods.
It takes a lot of balls to do that as well. Because like,
The AirPods thing.
do you reckon you could do that?
Such a big shout. I don't know. I'll be completely honest with you,
Guess
mate.
what we put up today in Bournemouth? I'm joking.
Oh,
I just wanted to see what his face was like.
mate,
His face dropped then. He was like, he's not fucking stitched me up, is he?
I don't know if I could, mate. Do you reckon you could?
I think it's out of the remit for me, mate. Yeah, I'm not.
I don't know if I
Yeah,
could.
it's not really for me. That it's,
Credit, by the way, for doing it.
It
but
takes
I don't
balls, mate.
Well, it all depends on the brand, right? So whatever your brand is going to be. I said the same thing. Like, I'm a disruptive, naturally unorthodox person. I like to be creative and I like to have fun.
Yeah.
I just happen to be good at marketing
I
as well.
also think that because like you've incrementally been through the stages of getting like more public, doing something like that isn't as big of a thing as it would be for us off the bat.
Yeah.
Because you've been in the press. Do you know what I mean?
But
Like,
if you did it, you'd just look like weirdos.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, like
You'd be like, who are these two fucking nutters?
creeps
Yeah.
on the like, life of the poddy.
Yeah.
Sat there naked on
See
the
my
podcast.
poddy body.
But obviously business, you know, sort of takes off to a nice level at that point, and like that's where we're at to
Yeah, it's been taking over ever since.
today. But obviously you've always had this burning desire for the other business.
Yeah.
So I guess kind of where does that sit and how does that get to where it's at today as well?
So that's been sat there for 3 years.
Wow.
And most people just give up on it. But imagine going, I'm going to start, right, okay, it's the equivalent of going, I'm going to start my own podcast. And then for the first time in history, everyone goes deaf.
Oh yeah, because of
Right?
travel.
It's the exact same thing. I'm going to start a travel company. For the first time in our entire lives, since the war, no one's allowed to travel. Like, you're like, okay, well, if that ain't a fucking sign... and to be honest, it's probably a good thing that happened because I was really sad about it and I had to sit and wait. And then just when we got excited again about it and we started planning things, the second wave came in, the third, and all these other bollocks rules that came in, and everyone else, other country had their own rules, and we just sort of sat there and eventually just sort of stopped worrying about it, and we would just sit and meet up and we talk about the ideas and we just run through it and we try and keep it alive in our heads what we want to do. And we started applying for things like licenses and protections and guarantees and insurance policies and all the things that we need, knowing that we were going to start it, but we just didn't know when.
Did you ever think of dropping it at all?
No. Yeah,
No.
weirdly not. I just thought I had to keep on focused on what I want to build, and it'll happen. I guess in my mind's eye, I saw it was going to come true. Like, I figured I can make this happen. But there's no reason for me to think that. Because, like, if to start a travel company, it's really complicated. There's a lot of like guarantee, especially with COVID. Obviously, when COVID hit, all the rules and regulations in travel had to change because loads of people got stuck abroad.
So what will make your travel company unique? Because mate, you're a unique person, so there's got to be something that's going to make it unique.
Yeah, for me, I think. Well, this is interesting. So, obviously, this brand is a bit different. It's not like Hussel, so I don't need to do silly things with it. I'll still do creative campaigns, but not like Wild because that's not the brand. This is more about premium, and I use the word looks quite a lot. I don't like the word luxury because I feel like it's overused and commoditized as a word, but I like the word looks. Looks tells you everything you need to know. It's going to be stylish. It's going to be elegant. It's going to be enjoyable. It's going to be a good fucking holiday. And what I mean by that is, all these other companies, I used the word commoditized a second ago, but all these other companies have done a race to the bottom, right? They literally commoditized holidays. They decided we're going to sell loads online. When the internet came out, they all said, everyone's going to book online. We're going to sell it online, dead cheap. We'll sell loads of it. And they have. As a result, everything across travel has suffered. Like, for example, you get to the airport, there's less flights. Therefore, if one's delayed, you're waiting for ages. The airport, the coach driver's pissed off because there's less coaches and there's less drivers. Your bags are thrown on the coach. You're driven around resorts, all these different locations because there's less coaches. And then the hotel receptionist, there's not enough staff on, so you have to queue to get in. And then when you get checked in, she says, oh, you're staying just across the road because we overbooked. All that shit before you even get to the pool, which is, got less deck chairs. The food's crap around the pool. The bar staff are slow to serve you. The pool's not been cleaned. The rooms aren't quite as nice as you want because they haven't got the maids, haven't got enough staff on because they've got less cash, because all of it's been erased to the bottom. I don't think that's a good experience, and you don't really get that in actual nice like 5-star hotels because if people pay for the experience and they get what they paid for. I don't think this race to the bottom sort of style of doing things is the right way. So with that in mind, I started looking at, okay, well, what can I disrupt the market with? And I'm looking at young people traveling. I used to work with young people. I'm looking at how they don't really want to get pissed 24/7. They don't want to go on nights out all the time and get hammered and be legless. Yeah, some of them do, but not. Some of them value experiences. And millennials, most of us are stopping drinking. Gen Zs drink way less than millennials, which drink way less than Boomer generation and so on and so forth. So Gen X, sorry, but so on and so forth. It's only going to get less and less. So it's more about experiences, and then it's following COVID. That's what people want. So I'm going to be seeking out like as a young person, like between 25 and 35, young professionals. That's what I keep saying, young professionals, and that could be people who have their own businesses, like yourselves, people who are doing interesting things, people who are maybe making some money in a career, or maybe they're an entrepreneur. Maybe they can spend a bit more on a holiday. And being around people of the same caliber as well. And you might want to do it with your mates or just do it on your own, in which case we're going to find the types of places that are made for people like you. Like, we're not going to say it's a Magaluf where everyone's getting pissed all the time. Yeah, you can go there. Yeah, you can get pissed, but you probably won't be around the right sort of people. We want to find your 4 or 5.
So you almost focus on like the community element.
We're going to put you in places which are, 4 or 5 star hotels. We're going to pick you up in blacked out SUVs.
Yeah, that sounds unreal.
Yeah, just that alone, like nice hotel and blacked out SUV is better than hotel with dog shit on the bed and Paolo throwing your suitcase on the coach because he's pissed.
How are you going to be able to balance your time though? Because obviously 2 businesses now.
Yeah, I've got a business partner in the second one.
Yeah, but like obviously you're working on both of them. Mm-hmm. So how are you going to balance between them?
It's easy. I'm starting a third as well.
Okay, so when you do start the third, like surely you because it's a new business to Hiddn Travel, like. And surely if it's a new business, you've got to put all of your time and effort into it to make it work.
When I say it's easy, I mean it is easy because I'll just figure it out. I'll just start doing it.
Yeah.
And that's what I've always done. So like, if you said, how can you run a business? How can I find time to run a business? I go gym. Well, I do that. And how could I find time to work full time and also freelance? Well, I did that as well.
And and also like the first business, the marketing agency feeds into the new business, right?
And to be honest, take an example of what I said to you when I first walked in today. Like, I've just stopped drinking, I've just stopped smoking, I've just stopped going out, and now I work Saturday, Sundays. So how do I find time? Well, you can already see this.
Create your real time.
There's 3 or 4 examples there of how I'm finding time. I've created an extra week and a month because I'm now going to work weekends. But and I understand it's not for everyone, right? I'm never going to say to everyone, yeah, you need to work 7 days a week. And sometimes I'll just take days off, and sometimes I feel guilty if I take a day off. But it's because I know that I need to do that because that's how I work. People that sort of say you need to do this and do that and graft 7 days a week. Like, I don't listen to that sort of the hustle culture. I hate the word because obviously my company's hustle. Yeah. But I do believe that you have to work as hard as you think you need to work. Yeah. If I'm working and I'm grafting and I'm thinking to myself I can still work harder, then I'm probably not working hard enough. I'm doing everything I could possibly do. Like, that's I guess what I said to myself. Am I doing everything I could possibly do? Well, last month I spent like 8 days out of the month hungover. Was that doing everything I could do? Probably not, right? I was wasting time on this Sunday and this Sunday. And this Sunday I went and did something irrelevant. Like, was I really doing everything I could do? Every Saturday, Sunday that I'm sat fucking about hungover, I know there's someone working. There is someone working, and I'll hear about them in 5-10 years because that person is going to be smashing it. So I used to think to myself, I know I'm not giving it everything I've got. So when it comes to making time for things, you make time for it. It's like people saying to me, this is what fucks me off when someone goes, oh, I'm just so busy. I'm like, you're busy. See, like, I can put in my, like you guys said to come down here. Now, I could find time. I look ahead in the calendar, put it in my diary, and it sits there. And then when time comes, I'm there. That's how I work. That's how I work in life. A lot of people say I don't have time for things.
Just priorities, isn't it?
It's not even priorities. You got to just plan. Work it. Like, I'll make it happen. And with 2 businesses, it is going to be hard. I don't know anyone else that's done 2 startups at the same time.
You just said you got a third one.
Yeah, annoyingly, because it came out of the travel space. So I've spotted something that's not being done as well, which is really annoying because if I leave it, it's going to get done. So it's going to sort of be born out of the travel company. However, it's going to be on its own.
What's the actual goal with the businesses? So, like, for example, like, you'll have targets or goals, but like, what's the actual goal of the new business? Is it to support the lifestyle, or is it to actually, like, you want to create a product which is XYZ, which earns XYZ?
Yeah, I think Hussel was survival. I had no other way to survive. And then I thought, well, if I'm doing this, I'm going to do this properly. I'm going to do this like how I would do it. I'm going to build a brand that represents me as a person. So Hussel was survival, and it became a brand. And I quite like it. And it's got its own, like, flex now. It's got its own authority. People go, oh, yeah, that guy that does that thing. Hiddn is the one which is going to be my, like, big fuck-off company.
Yeah, I know.
I can already see about 50 different spaces in travel. I mean, I'm going into a space from a very creative background, which is full of wonder and, like, excitement and buzz and technology and advancements. I'm going into travel, which is run by predominantly older people. Most of the partners of the franchise company we're working with are like, 40, 50 plus. And I'm going in with a tech like an experience in like marketing, creative background, all these ideas flowing around 24/7, and I'm going into a pretty stagnant space. So, and the most innovative thing that's happened, honest to God, this is true, the most innovative company that exists right now, their innovative booking platform is they post on social media and then they make packages using those posts. And now that is common sense in most spaces, post on social media and then sell that product online. In travel, that has been seen as a really innovative thing. I'm not slagging their company because it's made some money, like it's done really well. So it's not about like, oh, I think you could do better or worse. I'm just saying like
it's the market, right?
It's
the
example.
industry.
It's an example of like what's in, and I'm looking at websites I'm building now. I was thinking these are awful. So yeah, that's kind of what I'm thinking. I'm thinking that I'll make some massive waves in travel. I'm going to piss everyone off. I know I will, because the majority of people in that space just do what they like. Most of them are people that have worked in offices and travel, book people for years and years and years, and that's what they do, and that's just their thing. And they're going to get me coming in from, I might have worked as a rep, but I've never run a travel company before. So they'll be like, why the fuck do you think you can do this? But that gives me that's my superpower, because I'm not going to be restricted by pre-existing perceptions, what I think should be done, how it should be done. The things that you get, I'm going in with wide, like completely fresh eyes and everything. Like everything we see, we go, why do you guys do that? Like one of the very first questions I was like, why does that not exist? And the guy was like, oh, I don't know. We just don't do that in travel. I'm like, why? Why doesn't it exist? It makes no sense. And he went, yeah, I guess you're right. And that was like already, on day one of us starting to learn to book holidays. So I can already see there's going to be a lot of things to do in this space. And I think eventually over time, I'll probably maybe sell a Hussel in the future to a bigger brand, let them have a really cool, unique brand that's very known for very creative campaigns. I want to do some big stuff first in that space. We've got some big name brands coming on board at the moment as clients. And then with Hiddn, that's the one. That's the one that's going to blow.
What's the vision with the product though? Like, where do you see that going? Do you know what I mean? Where, like, what extent can that go to?
Oh, no, I just like making and building them and constantly building them. There's no like end goal.
Yeah.
I'm not saying like, oh yeah, when we get to 10 million, that'll be enough. Like I see the idea I've got in travel, this new thing that came up recently, like in the tens of millions, like maybe even more than that. I said to Luke, I messaged him saying, like, we've just gone from like a 5-10 million to 10 to 100 million, like sort of mindset. So I see it being a very big company, and just dominating digitally for young professionals and entrepreneurs and doing things very different. And if we prove that model works, well, then the business is valuable innately because no one else is doing it. So your option then is to try and copy us and try and catch up, or just buy us, take it, and do it yourself. So if I was to basically, I like to make things, see if they work, prove that I was right, and then sell it. That's kind of what my plan is for every business.
Best way to be, right?
Yeah, and prove, does it work if I do it this way? Yeah, and then sell it. And then the reason why all that's important to me is because, well, when I talk, kids aren't going to listen to me unless I make millions of pounds. Because they're going to be like, no, he doesn't know what he's fucking talking about. But if someone stands in front of you, they made like, I met a guy the other day, he's on 35 million before he was 30. Well, you'd be like, all right, fair enough.
Yeah.
Like you could walk in, swinging a cat around by its tail, and you'd be like, well, he's probably doing that for a reason. Like, you would assume that he has his shit together. So they would listen. And so for me, that's what it is. It's like, okay, well, if I can build and sell them and show that you can do this, and you don't need to ask for permission, you can do it with no money, you can come from this background, you just got to do this, that, and the other, then they'll listen. And that's kind of like that's why I always say that's my success point, because at that point I can talk to thousands of people and try and help them. And the only way they're going to listen is by seeing that I've done it and made it. So that's my vision.
Yeah.
You mentioned it a minute ago, but how much of a superpower do you think not caring what other people think of you is?
I don't think that's necessarily a superpower.
But it must be like in like modern day, like because you're so out there and you're so exposed, so many people care about what other people think of them, so that might hinder them from doing. So
that's like I just said it a minute ago. Like you don't need to ask for permission. Everyone thinks that your sort of immediate restrictions are what other people are going to think, and I think that's what you're saying, and that's why I'm saying the same thing but a different way. Is that you don't need to ask. You don't need permission. Like no one's gonna come and tell you what to do.
Also, no one really cares. Do you know what I mean? Whatever you do, no one really cares.
Yeah.
But I'm like, they might be like, wanker, and then they're going to forget about you in 3 seconds.
Yeah, it's not really that deep, is it?
You want to do something weird. Like you could walk around and there's a guy on TikTok, I see him doing it occasionally. He'll like walk around, he'll do like a forwards roll, he'll sit and chat to someone, and then he'll go and sit and eat someone's food, and then he walks off and he's like, in 5 minutes, that person's not going to remember I existed.
It's true.
And it's true. Like you might cross paths, they might write a comment, they might see something, they might say, oh, whatever. Well, at the end of the day, they're not going to remember.
It's true.
But tell you what, no one ever made anything. No one ever made anything happen. No one ever achieved their goals without making waves. I guarantee, like most people that have made it, like every single one of them, will have faced severe criticism. I'm not just saying criticism, severe criticism. Like people almost ready to fight you because they don't believe what you're doing is right. Don't believe you. And if you look at it, like even the people that are most successful split the crowd. Like there's no one that, I mean, I don't know about you, probably The Rock is the only person I can fucking think of.
He's a polarizing character though, isn't he?
Yeah.
No, but I'm thinking like The Rock, everyone loves him. Like, but technically,
I don't know, mate.
well, that's my point.
Big community, and like, you know, gym boys, you know, obviously don't like him because he says that he's natty.
Yeah,
when
okay.
he's fucking
that's
juiced.
Well, that's perfect.
Sourced out his mind.
That's a perfect example. I challenge anyone who hears this, or even you guys, to find me someone that doesn't split the crowd.
Oh no, yeah, you want to be a polarizing
half of them
character.
will hate them, half of them will love them. Maybe Ryan Reynolds. Oh, he's fucking internationally loved. But it's because I'm a boy.
I don't really.
But you are right. We live in such
I'm
a
going to
noisy.
think of one.
We live in such a noisy world now. So to stand out, you do have to split the crowd.
Exactly. It's not necessarily. It's not even like to stand out. It's more like if you're not, then if people, right, so if people aren't telling you what you're doing is wrong, and the other half aren't saying that's awesome, then you're probably not doing anything worth noteworthy, right? So you're just sort of doing, if everyone's getting along with what you're doing and everyone's agreeing with what you're doing, you should be fucking really worried. If everyone, I always say the same thing, if everyone likes you, you should be really worried and make it, because you're not, means that you stand for nothing.
Standard, yeah.
Because if you stand for something, then someone somewhere, it doesn't matter what the opinion is on, is going to disagree with you.
Yeah.
If everyone likes you and you go, I'm a really well-liked person.
Nice guys finish last, mate.
Well, it's true though.
It is though. It's bang on.
And it's not. I'm not saying you have to be a dick either. I'm just saying if everyone gets along with you and there's no one that has any problems with you and no one laughs at anything you're doing, it means that you're probably not taking risks, and it means that you stand for nothing.
Yeah.
Because if you stood for something, then there is always someone on the other side of the fence that's going to have an opinion about that same thing and the opposite opinion to you, and therefore they're not going to agree with you, and therefore are going to have something negative to say. So. Yeah, long story short is it's just an awareness of that yourself. Like that's why I think now I don't care too much about what people think, because I realize that if I'm going to do something or be somebody, that I have to split the crowd.
Yeah,
and I don't need everyone to be on board to win. You know, people that know me as well. There's a thing going around I keep seeing at the moment. It's like none of your friends are going to make you rich. It's going to be a stranger. Like I'm not selling to my friends. I'm selling to strangers. I don't need my friends to like me, or people that know me to like me, or people from my town or old school to be liking me, because they're not going to make me millions. You know, half of them are still going to be in the same job in the next 10 years.
Yeah, I hear that, but at the same time, like, your friends, well, for me personally, friends liking me.
Yeah.
They know who I am. As long as I'm being authentic to myself, they're going to like that, right?
Exactly. If you're happy, then they should be happy for you.
Exactly.
But when you've got friends that are being like...
you want to cut them off, mate, if they're not happy for you.
And that's what I faced a few times. Like, there's this sort of like, it's not necessarily negativity, but you can tell it makes them uncomfortable that you're doing something that's not...
saltiness. Yeah,
it could be seen as that. Sometimes it's shown as jealousy, but I mean, it could just be that they're just a bit off with you, and they don't talk about what you're doing and stuff like that, and they don't recognize your.
They don't ask if you're if you're running a podcast, for example, or they don't ask if like how your media company's going.
None of my friends mentioned being on The Apprentice. It was on TV, swear to God, week in, week out, and I was getting all these followers. Everyone else was talking about it. My close group of friends, not one of them mentioned it.
That's weird.
They even mentioned it. Was well weird. And I thought it was hilarious to watch, because I was just going. I was going home going, they're still not asked, you know. And like I knew they was watching it.
No one like FaceTime you and just be like, bro, like
no.
How did you not tell us?
None of them in the group of like 4 or 5. None of them even mentioned it.
Really?
Like that's weird.
That is weird.
That's not cool.
So that to me was a red flag that they're the wrong people, because I know for a fact they were talking about it. They must have been slagging me off, because if I ain't hearing about it, they must be getting slagged off.
It's true.
Yeah. So anyway, the point was I realized, okay, that's going to be a common theme. The news stories about the AirPods and stuff like that. Now people, again, polarizing. People will go, oh, what a moron, he's an idiot. But actually, if you looked into into me as a person, I know for a fact you wouldn't think that. You'd go, well, actually, he's not
That's a smart move.
Yeah.
It's a bit of strategy on that.
You have to understand what I'm doing. So therefore, it's just lack of education on their part about what I'm doing. And that's fine. But you, again, split the audience. So I have to be willing to take the negative comments, because I need those negative comments to propel the content to get the positive. And then to attract the clients, I did attract off the back of that and get that business in. So again, I had to take a risk. I had to stand for something. Otherwise, my business is never going to stand out. There's thousands and thousands of businesses. You'll drive past them. On your way home today, look at how many businesses you drive past, shop fronts. I mean, I bet you can't even recall one shop front that you've driven past on the way here. And it's because they don't stand for anything. Yeah. They're just all trying to appease everyone and please everyone. That's not good marketing. I'm a marketing person. My job's to stand out and do it in a very unique, creative way. Because if I don't do that for my fucking self, how the fuck can I do it for someone else? There's nothing worse than a marketing company reaching out going, oh, we can sort your marketing out. Go on their Instagram and tell me what their Instagram looks like. Usually dog shit, usually some pictures and some text saying like how cool they are. Like, how can you call yourself a person if you don't live those values? And the same with Hiddn. How can I say I'm providing these holidays? I'm not selling things that I'm going on and that I would sell, that I want to go on. All I'm doing with Luke is the easiest job in the world. We're going to look at holidays that we want to go on and sell them. And we're not going to cut the price to a stupid price. We're going to go, no, that's how much it costs. And it's not about making a profit for us, because we don't make a profit. It's no more profit than selling a cheap holiday. We can still sell cheap holidays and make more money than we sell more. It's more about finding the holidays that are amazing and saying, there you go, did you know that existed? Because people don't know what they don't know. So we're going to open the doors.
Yeah, mate, I rate it. And the only comparison that I can have, like off the top of my head, is the podcast, right? Yep. We just interview people that we like to interview, and then before you know it, like, the product is what it is.
Yeah.
And like that in itself is like almost how the momentum builds.
Yeah, and also that in itself is enough.
Yeah.
Interviewing people that we like.
Yeah.
Mate, loved having you on. It's amazing having people here, or if we go to them, interviewing them. And mate, that is the product, and it will just roll out like that.
Yeah, and it's interesting to hear it from your perspective, like how you see things, and I guess being in the limelight and to a certain degree and having that exposure has allowed for you to be able to have a coping mechanism.
Yeah.
Which is just like not giving a shit, really.
As you guys have talked, well, it's not necessarily that. It's just knowing that I'm working towards a bigger thing.
But like also not giving a shit about the hating comments and whatnot,
I have to, because I know I'm working towards something that nobody else can see. Only I can see it. So if they can't see it, then how the fuck are they? Obviously, they're not going to agree with what I'm doing because they can't see it. Only I can see it. I've got to make it happen. I was going to say, as you were talking then, is that with businesses, so Hussel didn't start as a brand that stands for disruption. It's unorthodox and it's creative, and that's what we do. It started as a survival tool, and it became that because that's the sort of marketing I enjoyed. That's the ethos. That's what we stand for. And we sort of went down that route, and that's what it became. Hiddn is starting off how I'm talking about, but I guarantee in a few years, it's whatever it becomes is itself. So people refer to businesses as their baby, and what they mean by that is they start it. They breathe life into it. They vision it in their head and they make it happen in a real life, in a physical sense, tangible. You can touch and feel it. You can see the signs and you can meet the customers, and it's a real business. And over time, it will be shaped by its environment. The customers will have their perceptions of it. You will have opinions on it. The brand will start to mean things to certain people, and it'll represent something. If it doesn't, obviously, it's working in marketing. But the point is, it'll take its own form. So you just breathe life into it. For me, I just injected my personality into Hussel because that's my personality and who I am as a person. And now it's set to take its own shape as a business, as an entity. It's almost its own person. It's just a physical thing. It's no more. It's no less real than you, me, or you. And Hiddn will do the same thing. And your podcast will be the same. It's your job to breathe life into it. In your case, you're meeting people that you're interested in, that you have experiences with, that you want to experience, that you want to learn from, and other people that are engaging in the podcast, they'll also feel a certain way. And then over time, it'll take on its own, it'll have its own value and its own perceptions of what it stands for and what it means to people. And at that point, you've breathed life into it. It becomes its own baby. And I think that's what it means when people say my business was my baby, or it is my baby.
And that makes sense in terms of the business perspective. But what's next on the chapter for you as a person?
This is the crazy thing. I'm always like, oh, people identify as this, and I identify as a person that starts businesses. That's all I want to do. I know it sounds mad.
No, I hear it, mate. I completely understand it.
So from the moment I wake up to the moment I go to sleep, all I'm doing is swimming in ideas for work, and I write them down, and I'm working, and I enjoy. But that's when and now I always thought that I'd be happiest when I'm traveling doing that. I probably will be happier if I'm doing a laptop in Caribbean rather than Manchester. But the point is, I'm happiest now when I'm working on a business. So I really weirdly found that my happy place now is working, knowing that if I sort a deal, I am solely responsible for getting that deal over the line. Like, that person found me because of a campaign I did. Everything that's happened.
Nothing better than making a deal.
Yeah.
There's no better feeling than making a deal.
Well, I think knowing it's a sense of accomplishment that I was responsible for that. I did that. Oh yeah, that's me. Oh, that's my campaign. Oh yeah, I did that. That's my idea. Yeah.
I had such a small thing recently at work. I been engaging with someone so much on LinkedIn, a client that I really, really wanted to recoup. It took almost 6 to 9 months of engaging with them consistently, sending them the odd messages saying oh, that's really cool work. I mean, literally about a week ago, they messaged me saying do you want to work with us? Yeah. Such a small little win. I was buzzing.
And see, that is exactly what it is. It's knowing that you did something. So whether you work, and I'm not saying that everyone should be a business owner. You can work for the people and still have those same wins. As long as you're happy and it makes you happy as you're doing it, then that's the main thing. I think for me, that what's next in the chapter is I'm just going to be. I find it mental that I found what I love, which is finding niches, making people pay attention to them, and trying to make them happen. I'm trying to take it from my head into real life and make it a physical thing. I find that so exciting. So now I get the whole thing when people say like, oh, the grind is the fun part, the journey, not the destination. Like, I'm having a ball. I work more than I've ever worked in my entire life. I'm sometimes more tired than I've ever been in my entire life. Like next month, like in the next few days, so I was in Manchester, then London, then Bournemouth. I'm going Rome next week. Then I've got to go Liverpool, and then I'm going fucking Iceland all in a month, all for, like, more or less all work. Like, that's sick. Yeah, when I was driving through Qatar and I'd just gone and got the AirPods, yeah, I remember, so this is my first experience being abroad with my business. I was going from Qatar to Dubai to do a marketing campaign with my American clients, right? That's pretty cool. I'm fucking, a guy in Manchester lost his job 3 years ago. Why have I got American clients? Why are we going to Dubai? And I was driving in the Qatar and I had the AirPods and I was like, I knew I just got great content for my company. I knew I was going to Dubai to do a marketing campaign. My clients were from America, and the sun was setting. I was looking over Qatar, and that was one of the moments when I sort of like just like felt really peaceful, and I was just like really happy that, wow, this is happening. I'm making it happen. Because like, if you told me I'd been in Qatar driving a car after just chasing my AirPods around the world, and I was going to go Dubai with my American clients, 2 years before, when I was trying to just pay the bills, I'd have been like, you're mental. And it's obviously been a roller coaster of emotions since then. You have wins, but I just remember that one moment because it was very visual. I think in pictures, and I remember the visual, like the sun was setting. I was driving the car, and I was just felt real happiness for a moment. Like, wow, I made this happen, and what made it so amazing to me was that it all started in my head. Nobody else has that power. Like, it was me that brought it from my head into a real life thing, and that's the crazy thing about ideas in business. Like, when you action them, like, you can make something happen. Like, I find that just fascinating.
Yeah, I'm completely with you, mate. I've had a few of those moments myself where it's just like iconic, and you're just like looking, you're like, fucking hell, like, how has this actually happened from pulling that thread?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
I think that's what you do. You look back and you're like, you think, wow, yeah, how the hell's that happened? And it is, pull the thread. And then just encourage. I like to use the word, like, I encourage luck to happen now. Like, I say yes to things because I don't know who you know. I don't know who you know. I don't know who's going to be. If you've got a mate here who needs marketing, I don't know if this business needs marketing. Do you know what I mean? Like, I'll come here and you'll go, oh, by the way, website, dog shit. Do you mind I'm actually looking? I'll look at it and then we become a client. Or maybe I'll walk out of here, crash into someone's car, and that person's the CEO of some company. You got to encourage luck. You're not going to get lucky being sat down and not getting out there. So you got to say yes to shit. Like, you got to encourage that to happen. You can manifest all you want. You can have a vision board, but you also have to give it opportunity to find you. And you're not going to find that opportunity by saying no to things.
100%, mate. I'm completely with you, and I rate it. I rate the mindset.
This is my mindset based on listening to people and trying it, and it just has happened to work. And I think self-sabotage is something that I've just obviously overcome with the drinking. I've recognised, actually, I am self-sabotaging.
Oh, mate, we all do it, 100%. Do you know what I mean? It's weird because, like, when you do self-sabotage as well, it's unconscious. Yeah. So then, like, you come out of, like, a stint or, you know, going for a party session or party phase and you're like, fucking hell, I'm throwing it away.
Do you ever sometimes think you do it consciously, though, but it's just habitual? So you do it.
Yeah, to run away.
Yeah.
Like, so this is what a lot of people on weekends they'll be complaining. I can't afford to pay. I can't afford to eat. Bills have gone up. I can't afford this. I need a better job. So they'll go out and get pissed.
Yeah.
Well, they're not taking the right step. They should look at that and go, well, is that going to take me? No, it's not. Not in a million years is going to help you. So you are self-sabotaging and you're going to live that cycle.
Yeah, it's just escapism.
Only you have the ability to bust outside of that cycle, and it's hard as fuck. Like, I hate not smoking. I love smoking. Like, I love drugs and drink. I will go like a rock star. Like, Machine Gun Kelly's like an idol man. He sniffed coke off his girlfriend's tits. I want to do that while smoking. I fucking hate that I can't do that shit. Like, I'm all tattooed up to fuck, and I'm just living I go read books in the library.
Yeah, but it's not congruent with where you want to get to, mate.
Correct. It's not going to get me where I want to go. So
when you get there, maybe.
I said that first million. Fucking hell. I was like, expect a call, guys. Everyone get ready for a call. The moment that drops in the bank account, I'm going to go off. It'd be like, man jumps naked from tower, like trying to fly using a bag. Like, it'd be that weird shit. Like, cause that night that happens, the first meal, I'm probably going to blow out. Like, I might even literally paint people red, like the town, actually physically spray paint everything red and just go fucking mental.
Thing is, I rate it. You got to celebrate the wins as well, and that's a big win. I guess that kind of brings us full circle to sort of where we're at today and also the next chapters. Cal, do you have any questions you want to leave it on?
No, I don't, but I just want to say, mate, thank you so much for coming down. Like, appreciate it massively. Mate, I've had a fucking great time.
Yeah, mate, I think you're class, mate. Genuinely think you're class, and I love your...
There's only more sarcastic. Well, yeah, you classmate. just don't talk about my mum ever again.
Nah, but like, honestly, mate, and I love your ethos and how you view the world, and also... not only just that, but also how you attack it.
Yeah. The one thing the reason I said yes coming down is because I think it's important. Look, I've not figured it all out, right? I know I haven't, which is why it's more important I talk about it now. Because in 10 years, if I was to make 10 million, for example, who the fuck is going to believe me when I tell them the same stuff I'm saying now? They'll be like, oh yeah, it's easy to say when you've made it, easy to get there. But no, I've been saying the same shit year in, year out, year in, year out. Students aren't going to believe the guy who says it because he's made it and he's got the money, he's got no proof. If I say there's a podcast in 2023, there's a video of me in 2016, there's a message from me in 2014, there's me doing a video and I've been saying the same thing and I've been learning all this way, well, that's more powerful to a young person because they can say it ain't bollocks.
Yeah, it's a journey, mate.
I don't know if it's going to work, by the way. I just hope it pays off on my last 10 years. Right, fucking piss up.
Give it a punt, mate. Why not? And we're going to leave it on that. But yeah, mate, thanks again today. Really appreciate it.
Amazing. Cheers, guys.